Okay. Sucio Talk, hanging out. We'll call this the dungeon today. This is the dungeon, the truth dungeon. Hanging
The
out
truth
with
dungeon?
the truth dungeon.
Is it like the heart dungeon, but like,
exactly.
instead of like
we
Canadian guys withering in pain, it's like they did not have lovely 2000, what's it, 16? 2016 Hoops Vineyard.
That's right.
Myers Block. How Mountain
2016
Merlot.
Hoops Vineyard. Okay.
They're not a sponsor, are they?
No, they're not a sponsor.
They could be a sponsor.
They could be a sponsor.
So,
but I did do a dinner with them.
okay, so
That's Who's Vineyard.
they have supported.
All right.
Well, we don't need to give them that much.
Yeah. How
But
Mountain
they could get
Valley.
more. They could get more airtime.
Dude,
if
actually,
they support.
Lindsay Hoops. Don't ask for money on this show, bro.
I'm not saying for me.
We
I'm
ain't
saying
fucking asking for no money out here.
I'm not saying.
Anyway, we'll do a cheers right there. Boom. Cheers, chef.
Hey, congrats. The new 2.0.
The new studio, baby. What it's on. So, how you been, man? What you been up to? Been traveling quite a bit.
Well, since we last spoke,
Yeah,
December, because that was recorded December.
that's right.
2021.
According to December, it came out in like 2 months later or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Is now like we're halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Essentially, have done some travels.
You've eaten at some very cool spots.
New York.
Yeah, New York.
Well, technically, the barn at Blackberry Farm is in Walden, Tennessee.
Right, right.
I was going to say Knoxville because that's like the closest major city. But Walden, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, a few times to LA, of course, Honolulu, Denver, Minneapolis, San Diego. I think that's it.
That's it.
I want to
Okay.
say.
That's it, chef. Just about 5-6 cities. No problem.
I mean, once upon a time, it
Yeah.
used to be like every weekend.
yeah, that's right. That's right. You were telling me that. when we
My
first
climate,
talked.
what's it called? Your carbon footprint,
Yeah,
very large.
that's very true.
It was a very large carbon footprint
It's
and a very large carbon.
and a carbon box, carbon sphere. that
It's
we're
like
in.
big feet and big, but with carbon, which is
Fucking
not
Andrew.
something that.
Andrew, what the fuck, man? Anyway, so we're here to talk about fucking everything under the sun. We've been having a great time. We went to Tacos Paisa, which I went to with Jeff Davis.
Whose episode is coming out tonight?
That's right. It's tonight at 10. Episode out.
Although, of course, by the time this
Yeah.
comes out, it's long in the past.
I was thinking
haven't
about
been.
roping you into this week, but I like when I have the time to, if
Yeah,
we say
I mean,
anything stupid.
You gotta have. You gotta do things at your pace.
Yeah, no, I hear
Right?
you.
I mean, this is literally like your show,
Yeah.
your place, your studio. You know,
a lot, man.
Studio
It's a lot, but
needs self care as well.
exactly. So I need to soak in the tub before these talks. My mom keeps telling me to look at the camera, but then I'm like, but I have a guest. She was talking more about the solo show. She's like, you're not looking at the camera enough. But I'm like,
Well, you are the guest.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel like I like not looking at the camera because then I'm more in my thoughts. This is really what you're there for. You're not really there for me to be looking at.
Yeah,
the
I
camera.
mean-
you know what I mean, like,
It would, I guess, from a presentation point of view, would be better. But
Yeah.
like, the meat of the episode is the
Exactly.
content of your audio and stuff like that.
and I'm also self-producing, like,
Yeah.
which is
But-
something completely new for me.
It's a little note, a little studio note, taken from the top, add it in.
That's
It's
right.
like when you have a show. It's like
Mhm.
we got some notes from the network.
Exactly. So I'm also the network and everybody, HR, So I have to make sure that I'm doing the right thing always.
Yeah. So congrats on the next.
Oh, dude, it's fucking,
Stage.
it's amazing. It's gonna be a cool jumping off point to, a lot of a place where people can come and talk and be honest about their opinions of shit. We were just talking about this, how some chefs ask you for the opinion on the meal,
Right.
After you have it, and how you feel sometimes, and I feel sometimes like you can't be honest because they're,
Unfortunately, no.
yeah, because you don't never know why they're asking you. It's usually, oh, I just want to know your opinion, but usually they just want like a pat on the back.
Yeah.
You know what I
usually-
mean?
Usually, it's fishing for validation.
Yeah. So
Which I understand. Like that's just human nature. Like everyone wants to be told, like you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing is the right thing. And
How do you think that we come away from that and we kind of change our opinion of that? Like, do you think there's a way?
honestly, I think it's a maturity thing. It's just a person to person. Because like some people, when they ask like, well, what did you think of the movie? They don't really want to know.
Right.
Because if they do, I mean, there are exceptions, of course. There are some shows where it's like, wow, like that's a good note. I see what you're saying, but sometimes it's like, what do you do?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You,
So why'd you
these
fucking ask
people
me in
like
the
it.
first place?
Yeah. So it's just a waste of my time, and it's a waste of their time, frankly.
Because if you're not willing to change, why
Right,
ask
like,
for
it's
advice
just like, then we're gonna butt heads. Why?
over
like,
food?
yeah.
It's not
I
worth
mean,
it.
it is their livelihood.
Yeah.
Right? It's their career, it's their brand, it's their reputation. But if you're not actually going to like really open minded, whether you actually take my advice or not, or my notes or not, that's fine. But if you like, you're really not even open at all, let's not waste our time.
Right. Right.
Then we're just going to waste our breath and be like, oh well, this
was. Yeah. Do you being a person that goes out to eat a lot, are you going into any situation like I'm gonna critique this, or do you just sort of let it happen and then live from there?
I mean, of course, I hope every meal is awesome,
right?
but it's not going to be. And like, there's people who are like, I'm going to go in there with no expectations. I'm like, what? Like,
yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Go
like,
in there with expectations.
I'm like, you should be expecting to pay for a meal,
right?
You're like, what is this? A bill?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, like there's some basic things that like, when you know the concept of the restaurant, like what type of service it is or what type of like inspirations it is. It's like if you go into a movie, you're like, I'm going into this movie with no expectations. I was like, what? So you like went to go see like Toy Story and you ended up seeing like Hostel?
Right. Okay. I can understand
like,
that.
What? Like you kind of know
what you want,
what you're getting into,
what you're
somewhat.
Into. Heard that.
Like you can't treat McDonald's the same as like 11 Madison Park.
No.
Because
what do you think about that? 11 Madison Park. A lot of stuff has been coming out about them.
Good point.
With their 56% food cost and shit.
That's not good.
Something like that. I'm only quoting from what somebody told me, but they're basically.
I mean, it's quite possible.
Yeah, the article that they read. That's what it.
I've only been to the restaurant, unfortunately, one time.
Yeah.
In 2015, when they were with me,
killing it, right?
And it was a very, solid American fine dining restaurant.
How much was the meal then?
A lot. Yeah. I do not recall. I would have to like look through my credit card history or something. But easily like 300 plus. Like,
for sure.
But I don't recall the
wine
exact.
pairings 250. It's like
I wasn't really getting into the wine pairing at that time, and even now, I was like.
What do you think about their move to all vegetarian?
At first, I was skeptical.
Okay.
Because I was like, is this like a new Coke thing where they're like, here's 11 Madison Park, the original formula.
Here's Coke Zero.
You be anticipating that duck, it's back.
Yeah.
But no, when he lost.
You think that the veg menu was the McRib of EMP?
Well, I thought it was just like, we bring it here.
A gimmick?
And then you're kind of like, oh, this, and we're going to bring it in. And then we're like, hey. But when he actually lost other business deals as a result of his commitment to like, I was like, wow, he actually is down with it. I would be open to trying it, but at the price point, knowing just like purely, there's only so many things you can do with plant-based.
Right.
Probably going to leave hungry. And that's a lot. Like if it were a lower price, but obviously, apparently they can't afford to do that because their food cost.
The food cost is ridiculous.
Apparently very high.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity cost too.
Right.
Like, I don't live in New York City. So if I go to New York and you go to EMP, that's a time and money commitment that you're taking away from it. I could go to this place instead. So I'm intrigued, but I'm not that intrigued.
Okay. I can understand that. So New York, you went there to eat. What restaurants did you
Back
go
in
to?
April.
Back in April, yeah.
I went to Four Horsemen for
Okay.
brunch.
Who's the chef there?
Is Nick Curtola.
Okay.
Um, they have a Michelin star.
Four Horsemen. When
Four
they get the
Horsemen in
Michelin star?
Brooklyn. I don't recall.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah.
What neighborhood? Brooklyn.
There's like here comes
Yeah,
the borough. It's like
California. You don't
the
know
geography
about that,
of the boroughs of New York is like limited.
next to a train stop.
It may or may not have been.
Yeah. How was your meal there? What kind of food? Dining or what are you talking?
Oh, I mean, they have a star, but it's not like fussy.
Right.
There's some Asian influences, I guess, but it's kind of more of a wine, especially particularly natural wine, leaning restaurant.
A wine leaning. So it's basically like a wine bar.
Pretty
with food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heard.
And
Which seems to be like that's what's popping off these days.
And it's more known because James Murphy used LCD Sound System is one of the owners.
Okay. Okay, got you. And just so I know, how do you plan these trips, and how do you pick the restaurants that you're going to eat at? Because in New York, I'm sure there's
in this particular
45
case,
restaurants.
I hadn't been to New York
for 3 years
or 5 years.
5 years,
over
okay.
5 years at that point. So it is a lot of catching up.
Did you have any restaurants that closed during pandemic that you never got to go to that you were like,
oh, definitely. I mean, not necessarily in New York, but for instance, Birch in Providence, right?
Ah, that's right.
I wanted
Shout
to
out
go.
Ben
That
Sukol.
was very high on my list for the U.S. Unfortunately, it is gone.
That's the saddest part about COVID, but it definitely did teach me a lesson. Like, go out to eat, no matter how fucking tired you are, or like how much you have to work.
I mean, well, you got.
I'm just saying, man.
Everything.
I'm just saying, bro.
Don't force it.
You know, I forced it on the road trip. I was like, "There's no way that I'm gonna miss out on eating at these places because you never know."
Hey, you never know.
You know,
you can't take things for granted.
No, you can't take things for
But
granted.
at the same time, you can't go everywhere.
But that's a narrative I'm trying to change, Andrew.
You only have so much stomach space.
You can't. Well, look, after eating 5 meals a day on the road trip,
I went way too hard in New York on one day, and I was like,
did you have to throw up in between meals?
No.
Did you do a bang bang? Did you eat 2 dinners at once?
It was bang bang adjacent.
Okay.
So I went to I'm skipping ahead now, but so the first place I went to Four Horsemen, I went to dinner at Adamix.
How was that? It's terribly hard to get in there.
Yes, it is very difficult.
How'd you get a resi? You know somebody?
Some strings were pulled.
Okay.
Although I did attempt.
How many seats are in there?
Not a lot.
10?
No,
Or
more
20,
than 10.
like 20.
I'd say somewhere maybe 20.
Okay.
I'm not 100%.
And how long is that tasting menu? 'Cause it seems to me like if it's so exclusive and it
I would guess 2.5 to 3.
Are they core? Do they have different turns, or is it all just one turn?
I believe they have 2 seatings.
Okay.
But I am not 100% on that.
What seating did you eat at?
The second.
Second. Okay. Any memorable dishes there?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lamb dish, but it's one of those restaurants or when you look at the menu, there's so many commas, this element, this one, that I really would have to go back and to do it justice.
Yeah. Okay. So you went there. Where else did you go?
I went to Katz's Deli.
Oh, of course. Wait, you never been to Katz's Deli?
I've never been to Katz's Deli.
Oh, because the fucking line's always long.
No, I mean, it's...
What'd you think? It's not worth the wait.
Well, I didn't have to wait, fortunately.
Okay. I didn't have to wait either, but I just know when I ate it, I
went there early.
I would never wait for this.
I wasn't super impressed, to be honest. But
yeah.
The pastrami itself was good.
The pastrami was fire.
But I thought the bread was not the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
The structural integrity of the sandwich is it's kind of dry and colorful.
Yeah, I could see that. It's definitely really flaky.
Yeah,
it's like that.
That kind of let it down, in my opinion. But it's an institution, so
Yeah.
it's like it's cool just to be there.
Definitely. I was not that impressed with my sandwich there. I was like, it's good, but it's not like
I mean,
I'm not gonna wait in line for it.
Yeah,
I'll say that much.
like it's neat,
Mm.
but like I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like a strong desire to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm adamantly opposed to it, but there's opportunity cost as a
Right.
visitor, especially.
It's in a nice neighborhood too. The market line is around there,
Yes,
and that place is wild.
that's what's that? Best damn cookie.
Yeah, Best Damn Cookies is in there. The dudes from Wild Air have a wine bar in there.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they got a wine bar in
People's
there.
wine.
Yeah, so there's a lot of spots that are opening up within that space.
Yeah.
That are like done by like some pretty awesome people.
And
You been a while there?
I did go Wild there on this trip.
Yeah. Oh, okay. How was it?
It was good, but I went in way too full.
Okay. First time you went?
Yeah.
Have you been to
Contra.
Contra? Yeah.
I was going to do a Contra Wild Air
Bang bang.
Bang Bang.
But you were too full from the meal you had before.
Yeah. Well, what happened was on that particular day, the chef of Sema,
Mm-hmm.
who I know from Rasa, which is now closed, in Burlingame, has 1 star or had 1 star.
Okay.
He moved out there to New York, and now he's the chef of Sema. He reached out. He's like, I would really like you to come visit me here. And I'm like, oh, of course, like but I'm also like, can't eat too much. I have Wild Air.
Mm-hmm.
Because Wild Air is like another place where like I've been meaning to go.
Yeah.
For a while.
And then you went. And they just gave you the whole menu.
No, but like I went to Sema and I was like, oh, let's have like maybe 2 dishes or so. It was not 2 dishes. It was a lot.
That's a lot of dishes.
A lot of food.
Yeah.
And like I was like struggling. I was like, oh, and I got Wild Air. This is not good.
Yeah, you're like.
I mean, it was
contemplating
good.
Puking.
I appreciate the hospitality. I appreciate the generosity.
Yeah.
And consideration, but just on a sheer physical level, I was like, I'm hurting right now.
Right. Okay. And so you went to those spots anywhere else?
I went to PDF in Brooklyn.
PDF.
It's this new, relatively new sister restaurant.
Like PDF named after the document? What does the acronym PDF stand for?
In the restaurant setting?
No,
or
in computers.
We gotta look that up.
Okay, because I have no idea. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I have no idea what PDF means. I don't even know what .com means.
I think it's company.
Is it though?
Well, I don't know.
What's .us mean?
US?
Really though?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It's a guess.
Yeah,
hence,
whatever.
Hence the tone. Like,
I can't Andrew Cheng. We got to do this.
Hence the tone. I'm like,
I don't know.
It was not said with extreme confidence.
No. Have you been to Lilia?
I have not been.
I went to Lilia in New York a couple months back, and it was amazing.
Very reputable.
Really good. I mean, but
and you went to Via Corotto as well, right?
Yeah, I did.
How was that?
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's another up
and,
there.
And it was better this time than the first time I went. The first time was years ago, but that's cool. Like knowing that you can go to a restaurant and 4 years later go back and it's amazing as it was the first time you went. And I gotta say, I think just that those Italian pantry restaurants that get everything imported from Italy just have an upper hand because those ingredients are like top of the line.
But are you like one of those really strict, like this is not a Neapolitan pizza?
No.
Like olive oil.
No. Because if you're like that, then you essentially are missing the point of American food. Like, if you're going to a restaurant and they, like, even though they serve that food, they're still in New York City. Right. So it's like there's influence everywhere.
They're using New York water.
Exactly. Yeah. Which I tend to think that the water has a lot to do with the flavor of your restaurant.
The terroir.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Does it taste like
There's
fucking copper pipes, or
it tastes like the Howell Mountain.
kind of like piss, or or
Well,
does it?
I don't know about that.
No,
Maybe.
you know what I'm saying. Like sometimes you go to some bathroom, some dingy bar, and you smell the drain. You're like,
There's
fuck?
some water does taste weird in certain places. I
Mhm.
mean, for me, coming
Can
as
you
an
remember
outsider-
anywhere specifically where you're like, yo, this water tastes like shit?
not offhand, but
I stayed in a hotel in Santa Monica on the beachfront.
I was gonna say like I would
And
not
that
be
tasted
super
like-
keen to have LA tap water.
Yeah, LA tap water is fucking horrible.
But
That shit tastes like light Lipton soup.
whoa,
I'm just kidding.
it's like,
I just wanted to make a reference to Lipton soup.
are they a sponsor?
No, they should be though.
But they could be.
Lipton, actually, you never know these days because every company is like
But then
got their hands in
of
palm
Lipton
oil,
in like a negative light.
huh?
You spoke about Lipton soup in a negative light. You're like,
Well, it's
it-
not negative for me, but what I will say
it's
is
like,
like
in Breaking Bad, where like the tequila that they drank in season 4,
what is it?
like they couldn't use a real brand because it portrayed it in negative light, so they had to create a fictional tequila.
Really?
Yeah.
When did they portray tequila in a negative light? In
Well,
Breaking
is
Bad?
this spoiling the show for you? Like,
No. Spoiler alert! If you haven't
Right.
watched Breaking Bad, turn this.
which just came
turn this-
out a
turn-
while ago. At
Yeah,
this
it
point.
came out 10 years ago, so
Uh,
please watch it.
Yeah,
if you
season
haven't.
4 when Gus tainted the tequila and brought it to the cartel, and then they all drank it. They got poisoned.
That was a baller move, where he went to the bathroom and threw up.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't think any tequila brand was like, let's associate ourselves with being poisoned.
Yeah. Okay. It's just like when we had the first COVID outbreak and Corona beer stopped selling because they had the
Yes.
name.
Yes.
It's like people associate that with the name. They're like, nope, not doing it.
It's interesting. Yeah, like remember like Tsar Nikolai getting canceled because it's like they're Russian.
Yeah.
I'm like,
They've been Russian forever.
uh,
Russia's been fucking us since forever. What do you?
they are a California-based company.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, there's definitely some importation going on, from that area. It's got to be, no?
But with Tsar Nikolai, the caviar.
I mean, I don't know much about them, but were they started here in California by
Yes.
a Californian for California?
Mhm.
Like they're not a Russian brand at all.
I think there was like inspiration behind the name.
Oh, this is news to me, man. I always thought
Well,
that Tsar
I don't-
Nikolai was like a huge Russian company that like. So if you think about it, then what Russian caviar are we actually eating?
I don't. We're not supposed to be having it, right? Like,
Well, okay. Funny story. I was doing, I was doing a class with Truffle Shuffle, and I was using Russian banana fingerling potatoes.
okay,
Right?
but are they from Russia or is
No,
it like,
that's just the varietal name,
that's
right?
just the name, right?
So
Like,
I said
Russian
that.
River Valley,
Yeah.
is not in Russia.
Exactly.
It's in like Sonoma.
Sonoma. Yeah. So basically, I say, yeah, these potatoes are a Russian variety called fingerling, and immediately I'm with Jason doing the class. He's like, these potatoes are not from Russia. Like, please,
But
these
you always
potatoes
have to-
came from
You always
California.
have to remember that someone doesn't know that,
Yeah, I know.
right?
I know.
Like I remember at Nightbird, someone were like, "Hedgehog mushrooms. You're eating hedgehog." I was like, "That's just the name of the mushroom."
Somebody thought you were actually eating hedgehogs.
Well, not me personally, but
Yeah.
so when they saw hedgehog mushroom on the menu, it's like hedgehogs. That's cool. And I was
Yeah.
like, it is a mushroom. Like that is just the proper name of the mushroom. It's not literally hedgehog
It's not. We're not serving hedgehog here, folks.
or like oyster mushrooms. Or
Yeah.
lobster mushrooms. It's like those are still mushrooms.
After New York, where'd you go?
I flew to Knoxville. Went to the barn at Blackberry Farm,
Okay.
which is a very exclusive,
prestigious
expensive resort.
Yeah. How did you stay there?
I did not
Okay.
because
where'd you stay?
I
The motels
was
down the
not
street?
interested in spending that much money on lodging. Although I'm sure they are very nice.
Well, you were telling me that you view hotel rooms as a box to put your body in at the end of the night.
they're human lockers. Well, I guess it depends on what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
If you want the whole like amenities and like spas and
Right.
ocean views,
Are you into that? Do you
no,
like that?
not really.
You don't like that.
I don't actively dislike it, but I
You'd-
don't need it.
You'd rather be in an all white room with
I
shitty
wouldn't say,
cable
I
television.
wouldn't say I would rather,
Okay.
but I would just be like, I'm not willing, at least at this time.
Yeah.
I would rather apply the money towards restaurants
Mhm.
than lodging. Lodging to me is functional. It's as long as it's relatively clean, relatively safe.
You got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
It's all good. What do you want? Knoxville. What'd you eat?
Well, besides Blackberry Farm,
Yeah. Besides there.
Lawrence Faber, who's the former pastry chef of Blackberry Farm,
Because
has his own deli now.
yeah. Because wait a minute. Blackberry Farm isn't in Knoxville, is it? It's like
It's
outside of
in
Knoxville. No?
nearby. Like
Right.
if you went there from like Knoxville Airport, and
Yeah.
took an Uber or something,
How long?
it would be like 20,
25
25
minutes?
minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like so, it's close, but it's not formally in Knoxville.
Okay. But when people talk about it, they say it's in Knoxville.
Well, it's in Wallen, Tennessee.
Okay.
So like when you see like
Walton, Tennessee, like
back in like when In Situ was a thing, they had
oh, that's right.
They had one of Cassidy's dishes on the menu, and it's
Mhm.
going to say Blackberry Farm, Wallen, Tennessee.
Is Institute open?
It is not.
Closed. When did it close?
I don't recall exactly when, but it was during lockdown.
During lockdown. So you eat in Knoxville. How long have you been in Knoxville? What do you do when you're not eating in these trips, on
Usually
these
just
trips?
playing on my phone or sleeping.
Right. What do you play on your phone?
I think it's called like Instagram.
Okay.
Game of social
The
media.
game of social media. What do you?
Or just like
Looking for
checking
world
emails.
world domination.
Or
on Instagram?
like I'm looking at like wrestling
Right.
tabloid sites. Like like Sasha Banks might be released by WWE.
Clickbait
I think she is done.
for sure. See, that's the thing, man. You sometimes as a boss, I feel like you give a lot of confidence to your workers, and sometimes it works against you, where they're like, "Oh,
Well, she won it. She
fuck
won
you,"
it
kind of
out
thing.
before.
Mhm.
She like put in her nose.
Where's she gonna go?
Probably AEW if she sticks with wrestling. Maybe Japan.
Right. I think she's probably gonna cross over into acting.
Well, I mean, she was already in The Mandalorian season 2.
Oh, she was.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had her own action figure
Really?
as like the Mandalorian, not Sasha Banks.
Who does she play?
One of the, I forget the character's name.
Is she bad or good?
I'll say good,
How's her acting?
suitable for the role.
Mediocre.
You don't see a lot of range in that role.
Mediocre.
Okay.
She's
the boss.
She'll get there. Yeah, she's the boss. Sasha Banks is also Snoop Dogg's cousin.
Correct.
For those of you who didn't know.
And therefore, Ray J's cousin.
Oh, that's right.
Let's
That's
not
right.
forget about Ray J.
And who is Ray J's sister?
Ray J's sister is Ray J.
Is Brandy.
But I was
Right.
like, we gotta give Ray J some love.
That's right.
For the love of Ray J.
Ray J doesn't get a lot of love. I feel like he didn't benefit half as much from that sex tape with Kim Kardashian.
You're not really watching it for Ray J.
Huh?
You're like, this is why I've been waiting for.
I never even thought of it that way. He's a vessel.
It could have been anyone.
He's a vessel
It
for
could've
Kim.
been anyone.
It could have been anyone.
It could have been anyone.
Maybe her and Pete Davidson should put one out. Nobody wants
I
to watch
mean-
Pete Davidson have sex.
Someone will watch it.
I think most people will watch it these days.
Yeah.
I always think about that. I'm like, there's a lot of people though that
But again, you're not watching it for P. Diddy.
It's true. There's a lot of people that lose credit for doing porn. Like there's a famous actor in a movie who actually got a blowjob in the movie, and then after that they blacklisted him.
Oh, it's
from
like
Hollywood.
unsimulated.
Yeah, like he had a sexual relationship with the woman on air, and then after that movie, he just stopped getting picked for shit because they were like, "You're a porn star now." So I feel like there's
timing is
it's like
everything.
exactly. It's like two.
Maybe the culture just wasn't ready for it at the time.
No, for sure.
It depends.
Do you think a chef could make a sex tape and use it to become famous?
Well, yeah, but I don't think it would be kind of the fame that you necessarily are looking for. If you're just looking for fame at a pure principle,
Yeah.
then yeah. I thought we probably would move on after like
Yeah,
the news cycle.
for sure.
But
There's a
that,
whole new.
that would be your legacy. Not to say it's you.
Yeah,
It could be you.
it ain't gonna be me, Andrew. No woman.
You're
is
saying
gonna
there's
take-
no demand for the Sucio.
There's demand for me, but
There is demand.
there is.
I can't
demand.
stop looking at the camera.
There
'Cause
is demand.
I almost feel like it's like The Office, where you're like looking at the camera, and you're like I'm like
You're trying to get a reaction.
like I'm like looking at him, like what do we say?
Just block you.
Yeah. Not the first time that's happened.
That you've been blocked.
Mm.
You weirdo. Probably talking shit to women on Instagram, or what are you doing? Harassing people?
Well, talking shit, but not
Yeah.
to women.
Thank you. Talking shit about restaurants. Is there any chefs right now that hate you out there?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you know any of them?
I could probably write a list.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you think that they hate you because of the critiques that you've made about their food, or
I think there's been some perceived slights,
right?
which, you know,
Who knows?
maybe it's for just reasons.
Right.
But I'm also not necessarily really going to go out of my way because it's their life, right?
I get that. After Knoxville, where'd you go?
I went with a couple friends and we drove from Knoxville to Nashville.
Oh,
Catbird City. Where you went to
with Baxter.
with Brian Baxter.
How was that meal?
For me, it was the meal of the trip, and that included New York. That included not no disrespect, but
Same
like
for me,
I thought
man.
it was a very strong meal.
It's so intimate.
And I've never had his food before.
Right.
Like I've had like he's worked for other people, but like this is Brian Baxter.
It's just him, yeah.
So I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was very good.
I want to know what he's going to do after it.
That might be episode 2.
Yeah.
Brian Baxter episode 2.
I hope so. We'll do it indoors this time, not on the porch of Catbird Seat. Catbird Seat, though, institution. Like, a lot of great chefs come out of that place.
Yeah.
You know? And his
Including Eric Anderson.
That's
who's
right.
On the show.
His residency must be ending soon.
I don't know what their
Usually it's 2
timing
years.
is,
It's 2 years.
but I'm sure sooner or later. Yeah.
Do you have any speculation as to who the new chef's going to be?
I mean, I haven't been right
Ever since.
ever with Catbird Seat, but I also don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Because like he used to work for Strategic Hospitality. He was the chef de cuisine de Bastion.
Oh, that's right.
So he was already known to them. It
Wasn't like some guys coming off the street.
I don't think they had like a big. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think they had as exhaustive search as like finding the new chef of Canlis.
Right. Grady was the chef of Canlis before the
Before
chef now.
Before Aisha.
Got you. What's Aisha
Ibrahim,
right.
who used to work for Manresa.
Manresa.
And then
Was she CDC down there?
I
Or sous
think
chef?
Sue.
Sue.
And then she worked for,
Under Romero?
No. Like this is way back.
Way back. Okay. Is Romero still the CDC over there?
I believe yes.
Okay. Gotta have him on the show.
There you go.
Last time I went there, I had a great meal. And
It's been a while for me, but
when's the last time you went?
well, 2020, but that was a collab, so I don't really count it.
Okay. Who
Like
did they
when I
collab
went to
with?
Meadowood, I went to like 12 days. That was my first ever like Meadowood experience. But I didn't say like, oh, I went to Meadowood before. Like, yes, technically I've been in a facility, but up until I went to there properly, I didn't count it because I was like, that's not the reflection of the normal.
Right. In Nashville, where else did you eat?
Rolf and Daughters, Locust.
How was Rolf and Daughters? There's a lot of chefs that are coming out of there that are doing good things. Seem to have a good training ground.
I mean, it was busy.
Yeah.
It's mostly pasta focused.
Would you say it's like a Chefico kind of thing?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like it's more modern. It's not like traditional Italian.
Okay.
Like it's very contemporary, but has a pasta orientation.
when I ate at Locust, the chef from Rolf and Daughters was there.
Oh, Philip.
Yeah, and Trevor Moran just played death metal the entire time. It was amazing.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Locust?
Oh, it was cool.
Yeah.
It kind of was like,
There's a lot of energy in that room.
this is what I imagine if like Roberta's opened a izakaya type concept.
Okay.
Like, it has Japanese roots or influences, but it's its own thing. Like, they have their own little touches that make it unique.
And
Definitely a must go if you're in Nashville.
Are you going to these places one right after the other? Or is it like New York, break for a month?
Well, in this case, it was one continuous trip.
Just one, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
How long?
It was like 8 nights.
8 nights.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of moving around.
Mm-hmm. Well, because in the past, pre-COVID, I would try to consolidate as much as possible and maximize. Because like I can only take so much time off.
Right.
So it was like, I don't know when I'll be. So like when I went to Europe, I would like literally be like Stockholm one night. That's it. And I'm moving on. Paris, Berlin.
That's the only way you're going to fit all the restaurants in.
Right. But it's also a lot of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
very exhausting.
Like, it would be probably better if I were like in Copenhagen and lingering there for several days and stuff. So like when I say like, oh, I've been to these cities, I don't really say like, oh, I am an authority on visiting. I'm like, no. I went there. I was on a mission. I went to these specific restaurants. That's it. I didn't go sightseeing. If I see like something like passing by Big Ben in an Uber in London, like, cool, but that was not part of the goal. So it's not really a well-rounded trip.
You're just strictly going there to eat at
Yeah,
restaurants.
it's a mix. Yeah,
you don't go sightseeing or anything.
I might go walking just to kind of like
feel the city a little bit.
burn calories.
Yeah. Okay. Get ready for your next meal.
Yeah, like in Seoul, Korea, like I walked 10 miles.
Yeah.
And that was my first time in that city, in that country.
I thought you were going to say it's the first time walking 10 miles.
It is not, unfortunately. I was like,
it's like, I will walk 10 miles for food.
Well,
on separate
I didn't
occasions,
have to.
Chef. Separate.
But I did it because I was like, I went to Born and Bred.
Right.
Which is extremely meat focused. Just so you know, the double bacon cheeseburger is one of many courses in a tasting menu.
Where?
At Born and Bred.
Where is that?
In Seoul.
A cheeseburger.
A double bacon cheeseburger.
This is just like their take on.
Now, we're not talking about a slider.
You're talking about 8 ounce.
We're talking adult. Well, it's cut in half.
Right.
I was like, but they know, like, this is like purposely excessive and gluttonous and stuff. But I was like, I have to be prepared for this meal.
Yeah. What comes after that burger?
I have to look back at the photos, but it's more meat.
Yeah.
It's more meat. It's all beef focused.
Every course?
Yes.
Even the beginning?
Yes.
Oh. Or they go just raw into
Mm-hmm.
medium rare and then not cooked all the way? Or
I mean, with the exception of maybe dessert, I think there was like beef incorporated.
what do you think about pho tastings?
Good gosh. Well, how much are we talking about?
Every course.
That's just too much.
That's
It's like Wagyu, though. It's like if you have too much Wagyu, it's just too much fat.
Yeah.
Like if you are about that life and you can actually tolerate it on a physical level, hey, it's your life. Go ahead. Like, sure. But like for me, I'm like, already I would be like, oh, that sounds a little dangerous.
You watch Iron Chef?
The new one?
The new one, yeah.
I saw like a couple of them.
Which ones?
Like the first two.
Remind me of the chef.
Well, the first one was Mason from Turkey and the Wolf.
Okay.
And he went against Curtis Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one was Esther Choi.
Right. Who'd she go up
She
against?
went against Marcus Samuelson.
Right. I saw that one.
Yeah.
Marcus Samuelson was cooking these 2 lamb racks,
Mhm.
and I was just looking at him doing this, and I'm like, what is going on here? It's like the technique was off. Like the whole thing was off. I was like, this is not how you do this. But then I take into account, I'm like, the timing, it's a competition. I get it, but at the same time, I don't get it. Like it was a really poor showing of how to cook a piece of lamb, to the point where even the dish that was received by the judges, they were like, yo, you didn't render any of the fat on the bone. You're going to serve a lamb rack, you need to render the fat on the bone.
Oh.
And so it's like,
you might make some questionable calls when you're put in an unfamiliar environment.
Yeah, I hear you.
Time limit. You don't know this kitchen. You're like, oh, you gotta do something.
But it seems to me like that is no excuse when you are an Iron Chef. Like you're not going there to challenge.
Right.
You are an Iron Chef.
Iron Chef.
And also, I watched the Curtis Duffy one. Have you seen that one?
No. I didn't even know he was on this.
Can I spoil it?
I think you got to ask.
I mean, look, he
goes
against Atelier Cren.
Well, you mean Chef Dominique?
Chef Dominique. All she did was plate, Chef. Let's be real. I'm just being real. Not hating.
He didn't go against the restaurant, is what I'm saying.
He went against the restaurant, basically.
He's fighting.
Because the CDC, who's the CDC about Atelier Cren right now?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. We need to find that out.
Because like Nick is now opening in Cora with the Water at the Table people. So I don't know.
With Ben Spiegel?
You know, like the Contis. Joe and
Andy, right.
Water at the Table.
Andy Conti, the name reminds me of Anaconda.
The movie or just in general?
Just the name. Like every time I see it, I'm like, oh,
Anaconda.
They're nice, very nice people. But Ben Spiegel used to work for Water to Table. And I had no idea, but Ben Spiegel was like an up-and-coming chef back in the day. I had no fucking clue.
Yeah, I didn't know he worked for
Maddie Cameron was the one that schooled me on that.
Yeah. I had dim sum with Ben Spiegel once.
Oh, dope. How did that happen?
Yang Sing.
Yang Sing is amazing. That's a good lunch dim sum cart place.
Back in the they don't have cards, do they?
I believe so.
I think isn't it the place where you
for lunch?
You had to order like by checking boxes and you submit the thing.
I've been to places like that, but from what I remember, Yang Sing for lunch especially was a cart place. Unless I could be wrong.
I could be mixing it up with like Hong Kong.
I could
too, back then.
Hong Kong Lounge. Never mind, I'm mixing it up.
Two.
Hong Kong Lounge is the one with the.
There's Hong Kong Lounge 1, which is still around, but 2 burned down.
2 burned down.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There was like that explosion. Yeah.
What? When?
Maybe like 2019.
Of the restaurant itself, or like something next to it?
I think, but like it's gone. In any case, it's gone.
It's like, who cares who fucking lit it on fire?
It's gone.
Dave? It's gone.
It's not coming back. It's gone. I think maybe it could be Hong Kong Lounge 1.
Yeah.
They'd be like, there can be only one.
There is only one Hong Kong Lounge.
But like, let's be honest, Hong Kong Lounge 2 was better.
Hong Kong Lounge. Lovely dim sum in San Francisco.
Now gone.
Right, now gone. So then where'd you go from Nashville? Did you go to Honolulu?
No, in that case, I just went back to California.
Okay, so that was trip 1.
I made an originally unplanned trip to LA, and then from LA, I went back to SFO.
Where'd you eat in LA?
Well, Alex Atala was in town.
That's right.
And he was doing a little event in downtown LA, and so I saw that, and I saw tickets were available, and I was like, it's like right at the end of my trip. I'm just going to add it on.
Where did you see it?
On Eater.
Okay. I think that there's no, I was telling you this earlier, there's no publications for pop-ups for the little guy. You know what I mean?
It's tough.
The people that are doing it, like, you know, they reach out to Eater, and Eater doesn't necessarily give them attention. Obviously, this one has Alex Atala, so Eater's going to be all over it.
Well, it's also like one of Bill Jade's restaurants.
Got you.
But yeah,
Sucio Talk will change that.
To raise awareness of
we will raise awareness
the up-and-comers.
I need to be able to go on a website and see where all the pop-ups are.
I think
when
it's
they're happening.
It's a communications
issue.
But like, yeah,
Well,
it's
to
there's
me, Instagram just doesn't get the message across like it used to.
well, I mean, you can't just be like send a message to your like whatever sub 2,000 followers or something and be like, they'll show up.
Can you send a message to every single follower at once?
I don't think
Because if that's a
I don't
thing,
think the algorithm allows it.
because if that's a thing, I would be all over that.
I don't think the algorithm allows for it.
Okay.
But I guess feasibly they could. It's just that, but even if you did, how many of those people live in the area? And on top of that, how many of those people are free on that night?
Right. So you came back to California. You went to that tasting. How was the dinner itself?
I mean, anytime you go to these type of things, you kind of like, it's gonna be a shit show.
Mm-hmm. Meaning like
Disorganized,
it's gonna be busy.
yeah, and
Gotcha.
it's just like food's like not gonna be that great, but
Right.
actually it surprised me. It pleasantly surprised me.
Okay.
But like basically you're going because it's like this is Alex Adala public appearance.
You get to meet him?
Yep.
Cool dude?
I mean, very limited interaction, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, hey, how you doing? Moving on.
pretty much.
Heard that. Is there any chefs that you would like to meet, like personally meet?
Like no food involved.
No food involved, yeah. Just like meet the person.
Maybe David Cheng, because he's become kind of like, especially lately, like a very. I mean, he's been a big influence on me,
Mm-hmm.
but just he is like kind of the closest thing to Bourdain at this point. In some many ways.
David Sucio right behind him.
I mean,
I don't know about right behind him, but give me 20
Time
years,
will
chef,
tell,
we'll be
yeah.
there. He's got a podcast too. I don't
Yes.
listen to it. Do you?
I've listened to a few, especially during lockdown.
So I'll ask you this because it seems to me like you listen to more Sucio Talk than you do David Chang's podcast.
Yeah.
Is that a true thing? Okay.
Well, I also know more people like personally,
right.
or guests
So
on the
that's
show.
that's what brings you to the show.
in part.
Okay. Got you. Because I'm always trying to figure out like who listens to what food podcast, why do you listen to it? And I know that people listen to David Chang's mainly because he is David Chang.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just wonder why people listen to this shit.
Well, I think if you, especially like, not to say that this is a California or Bay Area centric, but like that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're more in tune with that scene, it's going to be a little bit more relevant to you.
Very true. So I guess you are right because that's what I found with the road trip. When I was going around to these places, I was actually in the mix and meeting people and talking to people.
Yeah.
That was when the show mainly grew. Like a lot of people don't know about the show yet. Sometimes I'm surprised that as many people know about it as they do. You know, they'll come up to me at restaurants. Like at Charred Oak the other day.
Right.
There's a kid, 19 years old probably. He's a server.
I was like, Charlie Oak, I think you may have heard of that restaurant.
Yeah, right. Something like that. And he's like, hey, I'm the biggest fan. I listen to all the episodes. And then I notice, I'm like, this show necessarily is like not for my peers or maybe the chefs that have already made it. It's like for them. You know, it's for the hospitality crew, the chefs that you are going to dine with in 20 years. Versus,
Well, I mean, they all got to start somewhere.
exactly.
And like when I say like David Chang was an influence, obviously I didn't work at Momofuku, but I read because Bourdain mentioned the book in Medium Raw, the Momofuku cookbook, and it has like a really strong like memoir or autobiography aspect to it. I found I really like related to that. Now, was I actually using it as a practical cookbook? Like, no, like I'm not using it like to make ramen, but just reading aspects of his like upbringing and whatnot. So I thought that was interesting.
Sometimes I see on your social media you do cook through books.
Yeah, especially during lockdown. Just something I was like, gotta improve skills. We just gotta keep busy. you wanted some kind of project to work on,
Okay.
look forward to that wasn't related to like work or especially get your mind off. There's only so much TV you can watch.
Right.
Like that's like just because this is straining on your eyes. So I viewed that as like this is a project. This is like I'm gonna suck at it, but it's a process. To me, it was like building model airplanes or something.
Right.
Okay. But you get to eat it. Hopefully, it's good.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not, but that's part of the thing, right? Like,
Do you blame yourself or do you blame the recipe?
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
Sometimes I
know,
read recipes and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I know personally that there is some recipes in books that are not the recipe.
Where there's like
They do not work.
when they say like, oh, you need to salt the pasta water to taste like the ocean, and I was like, when you die? But maybe I'm taking that too literally.
No, I hear you. I took that way too literal the first time they told me.
Like
Salt it like the ocean. So I salted it like the ocean, and the kid tasted it. It's actually Howard Coe. He's a chef in Dubai right now.
Right.
And he goes, "Assalamu
Former
Dubai."
chef of Bear and Monarch.
Right.
Yes.
Former chef of Goose and Gander. That's a bar in St. Helena. And he was like, "What the fuck kind of ocean do you do you taste?" He's like, "What the fuck kind of ocean you're talking about? That doesn't taste like the ocean."
I don't know if you want it to taste like
Yeah,
that.
no, you don't. He threw away my water.
Not on a literal level.
But I will say, like, there's a certain thing that I think about with cooking pasta or anything. It's like, why don't we cook pasta in chicken stock? Like, what
Is there a chemical?
No, but it'll
thing
make
about
it taste that much better. You know?
I mean, you could try it.
I just don't understand like why we feel the need to cook pasta in salted water. Like, there's so many other mediums, and you wouldn't like working at a restaurant on a weekly basis. You're throwing away stock. Every restaurant throws away stock for the most part,
Right.
even if it's 2 quarts, 3
You
quarts.
can't
whatever.
really use that on other things.
You know what I mean?
What are you going to water the plants with stock? I don't think that's going to work.
Exactly. But I've, even my time at Meadowwood, I've thrown away entire 22 quarts of chicken
I think
stock.
we need to consult like the Douglas McMaster silo zero waste.
Yo, I want to talk to that guy because I need to figure that out. How does he do a no waste restaurant? Like, you're telling me,
he's
like,
coming to LA.
because what kills me is, and I think about this, it's like, okay, you have this no waste restaurant, cool, you're doing this with your ingredients. What about your dishwasher?
Right.
Like, are you still running, over more than 2,000 gallons of water a day?
Oh, where does that go?
You know what I mean? Where does that go? I don't know.
Where's the soapy?
That's what I mean.
You can't water plants with that.
Exactly. Or does it go into a filtration system that then takes that out? There's a thing where I got this booth. There's a food truck like parking lots, like where you park it, where you wash it,
A commissary.
keep your food right, a commissary. And they had a crazy.
I used to work at a food truck commissary.
Oh, no way!
Yeah.
Cool. What do you do there?
Well, I worked on the food truck.
Treasure Island.
What?
Was it on Treasure
No, it was
Island?
in LA.
Okay,
It's like South Central. Like,
got you. On Treasure Island, there's one, and that's where I got the booth. And I go there, and she's like, "Oh, that's this industrial car wash."
This was a foraged.
Yeah, I forged this Facebook Marketplace, baby.
Yeah.
But this is baller. This is like a gangster booth right here. You know what I mean? The one at the back of the club. That
Just don't drink the tainted tequila.
I will say,
Breaking Bad.
this
Maybe Douglas McMaster needs to go to La Master Park.
maybe this is one of the tables, or this booth was used in one of the original comedy clubs in San Francisco. So Lenny Bruce sat on this booth. A lot of greats.
And now,
And
Chef.
now Chef David Sucio sits here with lovely guests. Drinks wine, Scoffier cookbook in the background. Hoops, beautiful
Merlot.
campus. Hoops Merlot. The
Yeah.
works over here.
Yes. Got a new logo,
Right.
new studio.
Main reason for the new logo is nobody could read the other one. People would be like, I can't read it. So I had to simplify it a little bit. We also made the face a little less angry. Still high, but less angry.
It's a microphone,
Yeah.
but in a different context, it could be a pineapple.
Oh, I could see that. Pineapple Dave. The new rendition of Chef Sucio. So,
Yes.
California, you go to Honolulu. Chef Key, am I right? Did you eat there?
I ate with Shoki.
What's the name of his restaurant?
Bar Maze.
Bar Maze.
Yeah.
Okay. I always
It's
was
a
saying,
sister restaurant of Bar Leather Apron, which was just recently on North America's 50 Best Bars.
really?
But,
Who's the chef over there?
Leather Apron?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Or it's just a bar?
I mean, I think they have a food menu, but it's primarily for cocktails.
Okay.
I went to lunch with Key. I did not eat at his restaurant. Well, actually, I did stop by Bar Maze for a drink. But
How's he doing?
I think.
Is he from Hawaii?
Yeah.
Did you ask him like how it was to move from totally like
Well,
California to Hawaii?
he was like in Carmel.
yeah,
So it's
what I'm saying.
like a little bit. So I think he's liking it. It's a little bit more Baker's City than Carmel.
Right. I'm trying to get Justin Cogley on the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's a really awesome guy.
I mean, he has like quite the career, right? Charlie Trotter.
Yeah.
Dang.
Guy's the man. Kidding me? And he's so positive. He's very positive.
He's
person.
a dashing chef, I will say.
Oh, he is beautiful.
Look at that hair.
He is beautiful. I will say. Though he looks like. I keep saying I will say.
You did say.
I did say. He looks like the villain from. The king from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
That is a very specific reference.
Yeah.
So I feel kind
His name's Richard something.
Richard Lewis
Yeah. Justin Cogley looks like Richard Lewis.
from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah. He looks just like him.
But
when I show you a side-by-side picture, you'll know what I'm talking about. When I have him on the show too, I'm gonna ask him if I can post a picture of him side by side with him.
I don't know if he'll agree to the show now.
Yeah, he will. Come on, it's all
He's
good
like,
fun
"You
here.
come here, you know,
Come on,
Richard,
man. Like his running shoe sponsors are gonna be like, oh yeah, podcast, fuck yeah, plug the shoe.
He does run a lot.
Yeah, he runs a lot, and he runs like trail running, which is not easy.
Very admirable.
Yeah, like up mountains and shit.
Yeah, so I was in Hawaii. That was for a collaboration dinner
Mhm.
at Miro with Chef Dave Ruhl from Embla in Melbourne, Australia, who I had met very briefly.
You say emblem?
Embla.
Embla. What was his last name?
I might be mispronouncing it, so I apologize, Chef, but it's like Verhuel.
Uh-huh.
Verhuel.
Okay. We'll look that up.
I'm sorry, Chef.
It's all good. You can't possibly remember everybody fucking chefs.
Well, I know how to spell it. Or is it E-U-L?
Verhuel?
I guess. Yeah.
Verhule?
Dave.
His name's Dave?
Yeah.
Oh, dope. Chef David's amazing. Name one Chef David that's bad.
Well, this kind of goes back to the who do you think doesn't like you list. And
David that doesn't like you?
There is a Chef David, I think, who doesn't like me.
Oh.
Who's notable.
Really?
Yeah.
Baron?
Let's not.
Could be.
I mean, it's possible. I don't really know him. I met him briefly, but also like
His son. I went to Pajoli.
right.
It was fire. It was really good. Really just like
Did they
great
do?
restaurant.
Did they do tableside duck breast at that time?
They didn't have it. You had to order it earlier. We like just walked in.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they just let us in. But
Casey
I definitely want to
Palomino
go back
is
there.
not there. I believe
Casey Palomino,
Palomino,
the chef.
former CDC of Willows Inn.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Is that the Willows Inn people dispersed to a lot of places?
Yes,
Harbor House,
many at Harbor House.
many at Harbor House. I met one at in DC at Johnny Sparrow's joint.
Was he like working at?
He was
at
like
Reverie.
he was a cook. Yeah.
Oh, okay. From Washington to Washington.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I like that. Do you think, like, how long ago was that article? Did that article come out?
I want to say 2021.
2021,
Like
a year ago,
last year.
Yeah. Do you think there is still like room for that place to become something else and like get past that?
Not under current management.
Do you think,
at this point,
do you think they have to completely remove themselves from the place and start all new?
if that particular location were to like, want to be a viable business,
Yeah.
then yeah, at this point.
And who's there right now? Daniela and Blaine. But I don't think Blaine's part of the day to day.
I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I know for a fact he's not. It must be weird though, like, because I had a couple cooks that went to go work there, and I'm like, imagine like going to work there after an article like that comes out.
I would not. I mean, ultimately, it's their lives. But,
Yeah,
and to be clear, I don't personally wish Blaine or Daniela ill,
right.
but very serious claims,
Allegations, yeah.
made. I would need some significant counter evidence to be working there on a daily basis.
Would you go to eat there?
At this point, no.
Are you gonna let the time pass, or are you gonna wait for a new manager, new management?
I mean, I've been twice.
Yeah. What'd you think when you went?
Well, first time I thought was very good.
Okay.
Second time I thought was not as good as the first, but still good. I never came across the claim that everything was sourced from the island. I think if I had, I would have been like, that doesn't make any sense. But in my experience, I don't recall that ever happening. Maybe that's different for others. But yeah, it's not a good look.
No, definitely not.
Optically, very poor.
How does a restaurant come back from that? That's my question.
With
Like,
the same
like-
management?
I mean, what does a Blaine Wetzel do after? Like, if he leaves Harbor House or if he leaves Willow's Inn,
I was like,
where does he go? You know what I mean? Or is it just done? Are we
Mexico?
done with him? Like,
Well, I mean, he was very big on denying the claims in the article.
mhm.
I think that if I were advising him, not say I am or will, but if I were hypothetically, I would have been like, okay, these are really serious allegations: racism, homophobia, wage theft, food fraud. There's also the thing about like the Island 16 stuff.
Yeah.
Very serious stuff that, like, even if you don't admit guilt, you have to at least emotionally validate that people feel this way. Whether it's true or not, people are hurting. People are angry. I mean, you don't go, it's so rare for people to go on record, like cooks and people in the restaurant industry, to go on record with anybody, with Eater, whatever, Chronicle. I think like 35 plus people went on record for that article. I would have said, like, you gotta step away from the business, kind of like Vince McMahon right now,
Yeah.
or at least executive. You might have to be like, hey, I don't admit, like, I didn't do these things, but these are very serious claims, and we need to bring attention to these topics. Probably would have done like a little step away, voluntary therapy, some signs that he's like taking it seriously and trying to improve. But instead, we just got straight up denial and like, they're liars. And I mean, they might be.
No sense of defense.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day,
But-
I think the fact that he didn't take it to court to try to like the Johnny Depp thing. Like, he was defamated. He was like, fuck that. That's not true.
I
I'm
mean-
bringing you to court.
I would welcome if there was actual significant evidence to counter the claims. Bring it on.
I would say I invite right now. I'm inviting, Let me fix the camera here.
I think this would be very awkward for me.
I don't get. It's fine, Andrew.
It's your show, so
we are inviting Blaine Wetzel. Get your fucking ass down here and talk your truth on this shit. And if you're really innocent, fucking disprove everything that's been said about you. No disrespect to the 35 people that made allegations against you, but I'm just saying, there's only one way to fix shit, and that's fucking face it head on with honesty.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's not going to go away if you're just like, they're
that's
liars.
What I'm saying. It's
and
just
I'm like, okay, then let's prove it.
But that shit happens over and over and over again where you don't hear from the person.
Well, I'm sure there's also people who are like, don't talk to the press.
But that's bullshit.
Advisors.
You're already slandered in the press. So that's what tells me that, I don't know, I'm kind of believing that half the shit is true because
I'm
you know what I mean?
inclined to believe it now, unfortunately, because one, like, you don't come across people in the industry. Mm-hmm. Like, how many times where you say, like, this person did not say, like, they wanted to be anonymous because their fear of, like, reprisal or something.
Right.
But they went on record. Name, first, last name. So, like, that's out there. So already that means, like, they're pretty serious. And there was, like, no counter evidence.
There's no, that's what I'm saying.
None.
Like, when Johnny Depp got all this shit, he was like, no, I'm taking you to court.
We got to call it to witnesses.
Yeah, like, that's not, none of this is true, and I'm going to disprove what you said about me. And I feel like that team hasn't done anything to disprove any of the allegations. If they really are like, yo, these people are lying, to me, it seems very cowardly. It seems like it did happen, and you're just kind of hiding out.
I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter to some people because they're still going there.
For sure.
To eat.
But it's like, I don't know, I think about, like, bring up, like, a Louis C.K. Like, I loved his old comedy specials.
I mean, you still, like...
Can I not listen to them anymore because he...
Can you separate the artist from...
Right? I don't think so anymore, man. I think we're going into a world where you can't,
Well, I mean, it's tough. Like, okay, obviously this is an extreme example. Mm-hmm. WWE. Chris Benoit.
Right.
Had he just killed himself, Hall of Fame. 100%. But he also took out his wife and kid.
Right.
He's never going to Hall of Fame.
No.
Ever. But if you were to go purely based on his career, his body of work, that's Hall of Fame career.
Right.
But can't really take away the fact that he's a murderer.
Right. It's crazy. I mean, obviously there's rules to society.
There's severity.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you kill someone, obviously that's fucked up.
I mean,
don't fucking do that. But I just feel like there's...
Well, I mean, when you get into, like... Obviously, there's the stereotype that Gordon Ramsay, like, the chef is angry, yelling. Mm-hmm. It's like, is that verbal abuse or is that they're mean? I will admit we are a little soft. I mean, not you specifically, but, like, just society.
Right.
We're a little soft and, like, that guy's French. Or, like, he's just old school. That's how it's done. That's how they were raised. Mm-hmm. A little soft on that. But at the same time, it does happen. What bugs me more, although we should take those things very seriously, is when there's like a totally this is not work related aspect. Like, it's like, oh, he's yelling in the kitchen, but it's about work.
Right.
Not great, but okay, it's work.
Yeah.
It's a high pressure environment.
No, I totally.
But when there's like a sexual element to it, it's like
that's definitely shameful.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about this on the last podcast where it's like, there's certain sous chefs that you've had that are like, oh, they roast you, they yell at you, but it's not personal. Then there's another sous chef you'll have that will roast you, and then he'll like bring your mom into it. And you're like, whoa, like she's not even here, bro. Yeah. It had nothing to do with the fucked up sauce. Now you're,
This is like, that's personal.
Mm-hmm.
This is not even within the job description.
Yeah.
It's not based on performance. You're just like, that's like, you're just picking on them.
But, I will say, like, for example, the NBA, they have all these players. Every one of their players goes through media training, right? Because at the end of the day, you're probably going to have
They're public figures.
Right? Yeah. Same thing with chefs. But no one ever is coaching us on how to carry ourselves, how to talk, how to control our emotions.
Right.
It's all just like
But with what money?
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
I
Like,
mean,
we can't.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
unless you're like, correct me if I'm wrong, because like you're the chef, but unless you're like Gordon Ramsay, where you're like, okay, he's a chef, but like he has a media empire, like he's making Beyonce money because it's like he's got multiple merchandise tie-ins and like licensing deals,
Beyonce money, baby.
and like TV shows, which is very rare. Like that's like a true celebrity.
He's one of a kind.
chef.
Yeah.
If we're talking purely like this guy has a restaurant, probably not swimming in cash. Like how there's only so much money to go around, and then you gotta get money to like publicists. You gotta get money, obviously the labor and operating costs. Where are you gonna get the money to have media training? You're not the NBA. NBA, they're like multi-million deals.
And that's where I'm sort of like, why can't we make that sort of money?
I mean, if you're charging a lot more for restaurant for meals,
I feel like it's not even having to do with the restaurant itself, but just having to do with like appearances, for example. Like there's chefs that get paid $20,000 just to appear.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking that there's some people that maybe can't market themselves as well because they don't have that it factor. That should be making that amount of money because it will fuel the artistry of cooking.
It's not necessarily, and we discussed this a little bit last time, but it was like it's not really necessarily just on the pure technical skills. Otherwise, like Corey Lee would be
Gordon
like
Ramsay.
a huge Gordon Ramsay, but like
quiet dude. I actually heard something about that dude that pissed me off the other day, and I will fucking share it on here. He had a Christmas party. This is Corey Lee we're talking about, chef of Menu, and so they had the Christmas party, and basically he didn't talk to any of the team the entire fucking party. Just like hung out with some broad that he brought there. You know what I mean? And I think like just as a mentor, as a person who has people that, you know, spend their blood and sweat and tears on you, like just give them some time.
Yeah. But I mean, not to say this is the case here, but like some people lack that kind of.
Yeah.
Also, I'm like, hey man, Chef Corey, he needs love too.
Chef Corey's working on that love. 40 years of no love. How old is that guy?
There was probably some loveless years.
I feel like he's a little older than I think. I never actually seen him in person or eaten at his restaurant. I will soon.
Not in situ or
no,
or
never.
San Juan or anything.
Never. But I hope he sees this episode before I go to eat there, so I get the real experience and not this guy's VIP experience.
You want to be like, I want the real.
Yeah, I want to be treated like a human being.
You like want to be like Gordon Ramsay when he does like he goes in disguise.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, this is really over the top.
Yeah.
It's like,
what disguises did he put on?
Oh, he has like a whole makeup team.
Yeah.
He's like an old man, and he's like, I'm Gordon. I was like, what?
Does he take the costume off at the table?
Well, I think in the kitchen or something.
Okay.
But this is so over the top.
Well, for a while there, that show Kitchen Nightmares.
I like the original.
I met somebody that worked at a restaurant that was on the show, and basically they crush you on purpose.
Right.
They don't let you come into prep at all.
Well, it's a show.
Yeah,
right?
it's a
reality show.
They set the cameras up, and then they bury you with 50 people that they ride in on a bus
to like be humiliated.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if that's
like if
worth
you're on
it.
a reality show and you're like live in a house, like live in like.
I would do a reality show.
They're gonna give you tons of booze. Why? Because they want you to. And they're gonna
same thing with Top Chef.
They're gonna deprive you of sleep. They're gonna give you
Top
a lot
Chef,
of booze
bro,
because they want a recipe for conflict. Like they want you to be shit faced. They want you to make mistakes.
A lot of those guys on
this is gonna be better TV.
Maylin talked about that. How in the back room, when they were waiting for judges' deliberation, it would take forever, and they would just have them back there and like cases of wine on cases of wine, and they would get shit faced, and that's where mainly the arguments and shit would start. But I gotta say that show, that family of chefs have done a great job for the hospitality industry.
I mean, yeah, it really helped a lot of careers.
Helped a lot of careers.
I mean, there are some people who have looked worse as a result of being on Top Chef, but for the most part,
name some.
I would argue that Philip Franklin did come off very well.
Really? How did he come off to you?
I felt he kind of come off as a little aloof and just weird.
Well, he's killing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, he has multiple restaurants.
Game, yeah.
I feel like
Joe Rogan's fucking going to his
I
restaurant.
feel like being on the show didn't really help him.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
You think he could just I feel like he's really familiar to me. It seems to me like I went to school with him, but I could be wrong. Did Philip Franklin go to Johnson & Wales University?
You'll have to ask him.
That's the question, Chef. On next episode of Sucio Talk.
I somehow don't think that's literally the next episode.
That's not the next episode. There's probably going to be some other. There's probably going to be about 50 episodes before I get him on. Well, now he's got the Joe Rogan endorsement, so that's it. 6 million people. You know what I mean? So, and he's opening restaurants in Miami.
Right.
He's opening a restaurant in Austin. Where else does he have restaurants?
Well, L.A.
L.A., right? So, I don't know.
I went to one during the last 6 months.
Oh, how was it?
I went to Pasta Bar in Encino, the original.
Is it good?
I would prefer, to be honest, I told this to Nate, chef there. I prefer like fewer elements.
What do you mean?
Like
fewer components to the dish?
Too much.
Where the pasta's a little crazy?
Well, it wasn't. Despite the name, it's not like super pasta centric.
Okay. Got you.
It's just a personal preference. Obviously, they have a Michelin star. So
hey, do what you do, man. You don't have to like it. Do you have any access to know the criteria of what gets Michelin stars? Do you run with the Michelin people?
Not that I know of.
Nothing.
I mean, people tease me all the time.
Yeah.
And be like, "Oh, what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
Where are you going to go now? Oh, that's going to be inspected." I'm like,
they'll let you know. What was the newest guide that came out? Was
Florida.
Florida, right?
Well, technically it's Orlando, Miami, and Tampa.
What'd you think about that?
I mean, good for everyone who got recognized.
Yeah.
But it was not a great look for Florida as a whole.
Why is that?
There was only one 2-star restaurant in the entire state. And it was another, like, the Atelier de Joe Rougon restaurant. And everyone else got, like, 1 or 0. It's like, that's not a great look for your state.
Well, I think also the Michelin community has gotten backlash for giving motherfuckers 3 stars right off the bat. Every time they've done that, they have faced a lot of conflict.
That's pretty rare.
So
to come out, but like,
wasn't that the place in Japan?
A single 2-star?
Yeah.
Across 3 major cities.
Mm-hmm. But I always think that the Michelin Guide plays a long game too.
Well, yeah.
Like they've already. I'm guessing here.
There's some
speculation that they've already like picked the restaurants for next year. Or at least the restaurants that they're going to focus on going to make sure that they are what they are.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
There's no way they're literally going to like every.
They're not going to every restaurant.
In California.
But I do wonder what publication they listen to in order of like to find restaurants
it could be
go to.
Similar to us.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
TripAdvisor.
Might be Instagram.
Yeah.
Right? That's how Andrew Knowlton found None Such, which got Best New Restaurant that year in Bon Appetit. He found it on IG. It was his bar feed.
On Ask Jeeves?
IG.
Oh.
But it could be on Ask Jeeves.
I thought you said Ask Jeeves. I was like, damn, who uses Ask Jeeves?
We're bringing it back.
Bringing it back.
I don't even know if Ask Jeeves was ever that big.
Windows 95, baby. You know, there's some Jeeves fans out there. I want to switch sometimes. Is it ask.com?
Do people use ask.com?
For sure. It's definitely not gone. You can still use it. But from what I feel like, I just don't get search engines because I'm like, until I used Bing.
Is Bing a sponsor of Sucio Talk?
No, Bing is not a sponsor of Sucio Talk. No, I'd rather a Google.
Bing. Oh, okay, so Bing came with me, you're like, nah.
If Bing came my way, I'd be like, holding out
good
for Google. I'm good.
Wow.
You know?
A man of principles.
Sucio Talk is a diva show. We only accept the best sponsors.
Give that man that butterfly title.
Exactly. I only want I want to be sponsored by mainly underground people and like individual restaurants.
I don't know if they have that in the budget though.
They definitely don't. But I feel like a little bit of loot from a lot of places, you know. I'm going to say right now, I want to do advertisements on this show. I've pulled the regular ads out, like the fucking abortion ads and the presidential fucking election ads that were coming on. I took those off because I was sick and tired of them like cutting into the conversation.
Yeah.
So
what are you gonna do? Are you gonna do like?
I'm just gonna do like live ones. Like if we were sitting here, I'd be like, hey.
It's like when you're watching like an episode, and they're like, oh, like when NBC had like the Subway deal. Like, they're like
this beautiful kettle corn.
I had some delicious Subway.
I ate the shit out of this kettle corn earlier.
I mean, that's how it was back in the day for TV.
Exactly. So that's what I want to do.
Where it's like integrated.
Exactly. And it's gonna be.
There's a lot of Budweiser drinking in Top Gun Maverick.
It's $1 a second. Okay. $60 gets you a minute of David Sucio advertising.
What if they were going to offer more? You just underpriced yourself.
Huh? I know I underpriced myself, but I also feel like, the show's analytics aren't to where.
They don't need to know that.
But that's what you pitch when you're trying to get advertisers. It's like your numbers, So the way it is you need.
In this scenario, they're coming to you.
Yeah. You need 10,000. That's why I'm making it cheap for now because, again, you said there's no money in the budget. So if you make it too expensive for restaurants and chefs to advertise on your podcast, also, I can't accept 10 advertisements per episode. So that's another problem. But I feel like also.
Well, you could be like a NASCAR driver.
Yeah.
Like wearing everything.
Yeah, just wear patches.
Oh, here we go.
Wear a leather jacket on the interview. Yeah. I could do that.
It'd be like that Wayne's World segment where they're like, that's just really sad.
Wayne's World. I never watched the second one.
It's pretty good, but I like the first one more.
Yeah. Have you gone to see any movies in the theaters lately?
I saw Jurassic World Dominion. And I saw Top Gun Maverick before that. Both times during my trips. Because I'm like, especially on my last day in a town, check out a hotel. But you have all this like dead time before like that final dinner.
Right.
Throw in a movie.
That's when you go in the movies. Yeah. Okay. In between your meals.
Because I don't have a hotel to crash at. But I'm also not at the restaurant. Do it as limbo.
Yeah,
you can start moving there.
I've done that. Yeah, I watched Django one time in New Orleans, at this place that was a tasting menu restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you could have a whole.
Where was that at?
You could have a whole 6-course in New Orleans.
I know, but like what restaurant?
I don't remember the name of it.
Because it's like kind of rare to come across like a tasting.
Yeah, it was like a whole tasting menu, and like it was cool. It was very cool. But what happened was it was raining. So we had to just get somewhere.
Yeah.
And when we got in the movies, we were like, oh, this is a good idea. And then they turned on the AC.
Right.
And then we were like shivering the entire time. And also very broke. So we couldn't afford the tasting menu. But they had one. So.
Jurassic World, not a fan.
The new one?
Yeah.
It just came out. Like it's in theaters right now.
Right.
You went to go see it?
Yep.
Who's in it?
Well, they brought
Chris Pratt. And then all the original members,
they brought
right?
back Sam Neill. They brought back Jeff Goldblum.
It's not good?
And Lauren Dern. I thought it was bad.
Why?
Well, in part, it's boring. But also, it's like, this is silly. It's like over-scripted. Too many characters. It's just clunky as a movie.
It's a cameo movie. They based all their.
There were no real stakes. Like
That's what I mean. They based
Like,
the
I
whole
was like,
movie on stars,
I want to see someone
not
like
on plot.
there needs to be some sense of danger, right? This is like an action kind of science.
There was no sense of danger.
I like someone needs to die.
No one died.
Just the bad guys. Spoiler alert.
Just the bad guys.
Yeah.
Who's the bad guy played by?
I forget now. But it was Dodson. Sorry, I spoiled the movie for you guys. But like, Dodson from Jurassic Park 1.
Yeah.
They brought back his character.
Wait, Newman?
No. First of all, you mean the actor Wayne Knight, who played Newman in Seinfeld and Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park 1.
Exactly.
No, it's the guy who met with Newman in that scene where they introduced the shaving cream can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That guy, that character. It's not the same actor because, as I learned, and I posted on Instagram, that dude is...
he did some weird shit. He raped a 16-year-old.
He's a convicted
child molester.
So that's what happened to him.
I feel like these days, as more and more of these fucking child molesters come out, like...
Well, we took a different turn in this conversation.
I mean, hey, whatever, man. This is what's going on in the world today. Literally,
unfortunately.
Every other fucking week there's a new person, you know? And it's like... And it's people that we've watched and known for years, and then, like, it comes out, and it's like, fuck, man, like, how many fucking... I bet all the listeners out there right now are like, I love Sucio Talk, hope nothing happens. Same thing with, like, every rapper, every wrestler that's out there that I love. I'm like, I hope nothing happens, you know?
Well, I mean, it's hard, right? I mean, not to say it's necessarily specifically that. Charged. Hold on. Oh, okay. But, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who, unfortunately, their personal lives are kind of tainted, and the people that they are not the people they wish it would be. Yeah. Right? They're not the character. They're people that we don't really know. You know. Especially in wrestling, there's like so many people getting canceled.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was a boys' club and it was secret for so long. But, like,
it's kind of like this fringe underground culture. A lot of hazing, a lot of bullying.
Yeah. A bunch of jocks. Chilling.
Which, you know,
creative jocks, which is even crazier.
Which would not fly by standard HR practices.
No, not at all. Not at all. There's a chef I want to interview. I think she's the pastry chef or chef of Barn Diva.
Mm-hmm.
Nady.
Right.
Nady Venegas, I think is her name.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to her recently, and you know, I get a lot of the same thing from these chefs. Like, you know, they're like, I don't think that I'm interesting enough to be on a podcast. I'm like, what are you talking about? I feel like everybody's interesting, somewhat interesting, you know? Also, a podcast gives you the flexibility to not be interesting sometimes. Like, a lot of times, I sit here and I do the show, and I'm like...
You're leading the whole conversation?
No, I just feel like there's no way anybody's going to like this. And then
we don't know.
I'm just harsh. And then I watch it back, and I'm like, oh, there's some pretty good things there. Some good nuggets of knowledge.
Well, you don't do extensive biographical research
before
don't. You go. Like,
I should.
You're not like, oh, here's something that like the people want to know a little bit more about. It's kind of like introductory.
Yeah.
You're learning as the audience is learning about someone's life story. Mm-hmm. But there's some things where it's like, wait a minute. Now, in this article that I'm going to pull out from like 6 years ago, you said this.
Well, look, I told you already, we're going to do a news show for the food industry. It's going to be right here in this fucking...
You want like straight shooting?
We're going to straight shoot.
As they would say in wrestling.
On topics.
The hard talk.
Exactly. We're going to get that going here in a few months, maybe a month. I don't know, whenever Andrew Cheng gets some time. But we are going to make this a regular thing every week. We're going to talk about the articles that come out. We're going to talk about fucking pop-ups, restaurants, shit that's happening. It's going to be short. It's going to be like 30 minutes. That way some kind of
I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, we just can't be doing 3-hour podcasts and expect people to listen to every single one I do with you. So that's why we're gonna cut it to 20 to 30 minutes. Slam bam, thank you, ma'am. All the shit that's going on in the food world, eater pop-ups, scandals, movies sometimes.
That's a lot.
You know,
the ground to cover.
It is, but we'll we're making a show, so I'm in show business now.
Quick recap, all right? Michelin Guide, Florida, that happened. James Spirit Awards, that happened. World's 50 Best is next month.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. World's 50 Best.
Now coming out of
Who's
London.
number one last year?
It was Noma.
Noma's number one. Again, always.
But in their current rules,
no one can win number one 2 years in a row? Yeah. That's bullshit to me, because then that feels like...
Which is weird, because they already won, and they're like, well, it's Noma too. And I'm like, but it's still Noma. And like, it's but like, it's a different restaurant. But like,
it's kind of
But let Massa works like vegan now. Mm-hmm. So shouldn't they qualify? Like, they're totally different concept. But no, it doesn't count. I'm like, what? To me, that's weird. I don't like that personally. I think if you're an open, active restaurant, you should be in the game.
Right.
Yeah. But I think there's also some concern. Some people, they're like, what if we drop in the rankings?
It's a little bias.
And I'm like,
well, also, people need to understand that even though you drop in the rankings, you're still 100 of the millions of fucking restaurants that there are in the world. So that, to me, seems a little egotistical weird for chefs to be like, we went from 50 to 76. It's like, motherfucker, you're still in the 100.
It's like, basically, you're trying to get number one.
Yeah.
And then you drop out of the race altogether.
Yeah.
That's how these chefs are. And now we're gone.
We're not doing it. Like, I remember one year we trolled them.
Right.
Chef Costow trolled them.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever got on that list again after that.
And Sue did.
And Sue did, yeah. So I guess they don't have that much.
It's not like a total.
No. But I thought it was hilarious. It's like...
Well, it's like, who's behind it? What's the process?
Oh, for sure.
It's kind of arbitrary sometimes. Mm-hmm. But it does matter.
Yeah.
As much as people are like, oh, it doesn't matter. It does fucking matter.
It does matter. No, I hear you. Michelin stars, they matter.
They matter.
What Eater says about you, it matters.
Some things matter more than others.
Yeah.
Or they have more weight. But like definitely like movies or TV, they have to take into account Rotten Tomatoes. They have to take into it. Because not everyone has the time or the interest to follow this scene and be like...
To rate every single restaurant and movie?
Well, like, people need guides. Mm-hmm. People need lists. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe they don't need it, but they want it because it's like a very concise, digestible information. It's not like, well, is this number one? Well, it depends. What's your taste? They don't want to hear that. It's subjective, but they don't want to hear that. They want to know what's the best, even though it's like it's impossible to say. Like, it's literally subjective value that we're talking about. You could say like, there's certain metrics that are provable about, restaurants. Like how many covers did they do? But like, in terms of quality, I mean, my best might not be even in someone else's top 20.
Right.
So
that happens.
But it's a nice thing to say.
What do you think, in your opinion, is the publication and or list that is the most truthful?
Man, it's tough. Really tough.
We'll narrow it down to 3. How about that? Instead of just 1.
I mean, like, I think Michelin can be, but I find that it varies per territory, per region.
Okay.
Like, so, like, a 3-star here is more meaningful than a 3-star somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I would argue that California has a lot of star inflation, personally. But that's their guide, so that's
right
up to them.
That's what they do.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just wrong. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but like there's some 1 stars I think should be 0. There are 2 there should be 1.
Are there any 3s that you've had that you're like, this is not a 3-star?
Yeah.
Do you think that is just
But what do I know? Like that's my perceived idea of what a star is.
that one night?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's impossible unless you're an inspector and going in multiple times. It's kind of impossible to say, hey.
Yeah. I mean, like you're gonna take this like one evening of the year, one time, and assess the entire like restaurant operation.
Mm.
No, that's just not good metrics. That's not good like science. But also, who has the time and money to do that?
Do you? I'm sure as a person who's in restaurants all the time, you get invited to restaurants all the time. You probably have a lot of complimentary meals. Do you let that complimentary meal sort of inhibit your judgment? Are you more likely to be like, oh yeah, but it was free?
I mean, you're always going to take that into account, even if people try to remove the biases. At the end of the day, I'm not a food critic.
Right.
If you look, there's no, maybe except for like a Yelp review from like 2008 or something. There are no reviews by me, formally. So I'm just like a diner. I'm here for enjoyment, hopefully.
A gourmand.
I would not say that. But some people, hey, what they do is their own business.
Yeah.
I am uncomfortable personally with like using a handle where I like insert like eats or like foodie or like gourmand in my handle.
But you are all those things.
But I'm also like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that.
You are all those things, man. I will say, like, I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit. You know.
I think, unfortunately, price is always going to be a factor because it is expensive. It is opportunity cost. And if you're spending, the higher the cost, the longer the wait list, the more difficult it is to go there, whether it be due to pricing or just lack of reservations, the higher your expectations would be. You could try to be like, oh, I go in there without any biases. That's impossible. You're always approaching things with biases. You could try to like downplay that as much as you can, but you can't remove who you are as a person, like how you were raised, what ingredients you like or dislike as a kid. Were you having a bad day?
Yeah.
You know.
So do you think that the newspaper publications like the SF Chronicle should have more than one food critic?
I don't think they can afford it.
Right.
But in a perfect world, like, yeah, it probably would be. You know, even like Siskel and Ebert back in the day. You had Siskel and Ebert, right? You had like 2 points of view. I don't think that would make sense.
Because a food critic these days has a lot of power.
Right.
A lot of power.
Because we are entrusting them. I mean, like, right here, wine. Robert Parker scores can make or break financially. People care. I mean, as much as we'd be like, oh, it's just like that's a one person's opinion. People care. Some more than others, like certain writers carry more weight. But we can't go everywhere. We don't have the time. We definitely don't have the money. Right? So you have to pick and choose. Like what you're saying, like, well, what's your criteria? Personally, for me, it's a mixture of personal connections, like, oh, this is my friend's restaurant.
Right.
Or it's also like, this is what intrigues me at that time. Right? Like, I didn't go to French Laundry for a long time. I didn't go till 2019.
Why is that?
Well, in part because it's like relatively local. So there wasn't really that sense of urgency where like if I were like traveling from somewhere else and coming to the Bay Area, like, maybe that
would have to make it a
more
stop.
urgency.
Yeah.
But also like just stylistically, it didn't like compel me in a way. Like to me, I mean, I would say it's like bad because it's French Laundry, but I have no, if I'm going there purely for the concept of the restaurant, the style of the restaurant, that's not something where I'm like, ooh, they're doing some interesting techniques. And like, they are, it's an influential restaurant for sure, but it may not be interesting me at that specific moment of time in my life. And it might change. Like, I remember once upon a time, like, Fat Duck was like one of my dream restaurants.
Did you ever go there?
I went once.
How was it?
It was cool to be there, but I will say, like, it feels dated.
Okay.
Because it's a very specific style.
Yeah. And that style was the best between like
the sound
2008
of the
to 2012.
Is like literally serving you this dish with an iPod. And it's like, and I'm like, this is like, it's cool. It's like going to a museum.
Yeah.
Like you learn. It's like I view it as part of restaurant history. Like a lot of people went through that kitchen. But does this really resonate with me as a diner in 2017 is the year I went there? Maybe not. A lot of things that like I look back on that was really interesting to me at that specific moment in time.
Yeah.
May not be the case now.
And how does that affect you, the restaurants that you pick? Like, okay, I'm going to Napa. Is French Laundry even on the list, or are you kind of putting it on the bottom shelf?
Well, I should be more supportive. Like, I should be going to more restaurants over and over again.
Yeah.
But there is like, ooh, that's new to me. I've never been there. Maybe you should check it out.
Yeah.
So that is a factor. Like, I probably should be like returning to restaurants more. That newness, but also like, are they doing something really different, or are people talking about it?
So you go where mainly the people are like, hey, you need to go there.
Yeah, well, especially if I'm like traveling from far away.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I try to mix. If I'm going somewhere for the first time, I try to mix like institutions with like what's new,
with street food.
If it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to LA, you should definitely pursue certain like taquerias, things like that.
Yeah. You went to Yangban in LA.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
Well, I went for lunch.
Okay.
So maybe that's not the best reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. But it was interesting. And it was tasty for the most part. So I just left really full.
Yeah. It's definitely some portions in there for sure.
But I mean, there's some like really great individual dishes.
Yeah. The taste of the food is amazing. Like anything Chef Cat touches.
It's a challenging location.
Yeah, that Arts District. It's up and coming though. I feel like
there's no. I mean, obviously Bestia nearby.
Bestia, Damien,
but
Stumptown.
There's not a lot of foot traffic.
Definitely not, because it's got that big bridge intersection over here.
And so you're basically going to that area for those specific
places. Yeah. Headley and Bennett is down the street, like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Are they still in Vernon? I don't even know. It's been so long.
Yeah, it has. It's been a while, a long time. As far as James Beard this year,
Brandon Ju won for California.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Chapani in Asheville won Best Restaurant.
Yeah, which is crazy because I was just in Asheville.
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't want to say diversity picks because I haven't been to every single restaurant, and even if I had, it's maybe not the best reflection. But there's definitely a conscious effort by the foundation this year to switch from previous styles. Like, you used to see Quince in Outstanding Restaurant like all the time.
Yeah.
Now
it was Quince Restaurant in Meadowood.
It wasn't even semi-finalist.
Cezanne and whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder. I didn't see the semi-finalist list or anything like that.
It's a conscious effort to be more inclusive.
Right.
Which is good.
Well, at least they are making a fucking...
But is it completely merit-based?
I mean, I want to think that it is, because it's almost like we need to think that, because if you go around thinking that everybody's doing the wrong thing, then it's really like a scary way to live, you know. And how do you correct the mistakes that they've made? You know what I mean? Like, it's not very easy. So this, I think, is the first step to doing that. And I have to believe that they, maybe they just went to more.
I mean, I not to take away from people who were nominated. It's a huge deal, but
Definitely not.
I
It's a
definitely,
huge deal.
I would say that it's very generally speaking,
It's like
overcompensating for
I
the
would
culture
say,
of the
I
past.
could say I see the overcompensation, but also if you notice, it's like all the chefs that are doing that won fucking best new chef are then winning James Beard awards. So it does make sense in that line.
Mm.
You know what I mean? When you say merit based, like a lot of those chefs, Matt Horn,
Yeah, I mean, there's there's definitely a lot of like cross.
Yeah, for
over,
sure,
especially
for sure.
the people who are involved in
Yeah.
the decision making.
Yeah. So it's like it's really.
I do think there is also a factor of not just like, oh, they're minorities, because like we should
Right.
be propping up more
Black and brown chefs. Fuck yeah.
different
Asian chefs. That's what I'm
female
talking about.
chefs.
Yeah, female chefs.
indigenous chefs.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it is supposed to be based on
The food.
or them as a restaurant operation.
I can understand that.
And so I don't know. Like, I literally don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's also hard to trust them after they've done what they've done. It's like, okay, now you're correcting it to look good in the public eye.
Right.
But I think that it's a testament to those that won, that are in the Black and brown community, that they accepted it willingly and weren't like, oh, we're not going to go. You know what I mean?
What I feel like about Michelin is like, we don't know who these people are.
No.
In some ways, because it's like, when you look at James Beard or things like that, even though if you don't know, you can kind of guess or have a good idea of like the food writers or who are part of the judging body. You don't really know, but there's like this person, like is this editor of this place.
Mm.
If not that, then some other similar publication.
Right.
Whereas like Michelin's like, who knows?
Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah. Why do you think that Michelin doesn't get questioned for their picks? And
Oh, I'm sure they do.
but I've never seen a real public
But not like
thing being like the James Beard thing.
I mean,
or the Oscars.
There are people
right?
who will critique them for being too Euro or Japanese centric. But I think they're also viewing it through a lens of a certain style of restaurant.
Okay.
Or even World's 50, right? You'll occasionally see some claims, usually it's by eater, where it's like, how come there's no Chinese restaurant in the World's 50 Best? Diversity, there's rich food traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, most Chinese restaurants, again, this is very generally speaking, because I'm sure someone's like, oh, there's an exception. I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's going to happen. That they're not suited for small parties. They're like the big table banquet. And a lot of those type of restaurants are like solo diners, two-top. It's like the cuisine doesn't really lend itself towards that style of restaurant.
Right.
With some exception.
Yeah. I recently was told that by an insider that the service does not matter for your 3 stars or 2 stars. The Michelin does not look at service at all.
I think it's at least perceived that way.
I just find it hard to believe that it's not. Like, I'm like, really?
I feel like there's like, whether it's true or not, there's definitely a perceived checklist.
Yeah. I mean, what is an experience at a 3-star level without tableside? I feel like you can't do that these days.
Like, can you imagine there being like a restaurant that has no beer and wine? Like, no liquor license at all and getting 3 stars.
And gets 3 stars. Yeah.
No. But if we were to go by that criteria, it would be eligible.
I don't know.
But I don't think so. I could be wrong. No one really knows except for them.
Yeah. Do you think that we will know at some point? Do you think that'll be like wrestling?
There might be like someone who comes out and be like, this is how it works.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably try to change it up. But like, yeah, I mean, wrestling was like secrets.
Yeah, secrets forever.
Now it's like, we're in on it.
Like people thought it was real.
We're in on it.
Yeah.
But then they play the fourth wall a little bit.
Right? But do you think that they'll play the fourth wall in Michelin when they have no other choice?
I'm sure someone will.
When like it'll be like a guy on Instagram, a Michelin inspector, going to eat here tonight. You know what I mean? Like, oh, fuck.
I mean, they take that very seriously.
It's like the Iron Chef thing. They don't do any blind tasting anymore.
Right.
And the chef, they do it in succession. So like, okay, first course is doing 30 minutes. Next course is doing this many, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like before where it's like everybody cooks and then you stop and then you serve everyone. And I'm guessing by the time they get to the second chef, all the food's cold.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way.
Good point.
So I always ask myself that of cooking competitions, like how is the food not cold?
Right.
It's chopped. Like the first guy gets reviewed, second guy gets reviewed,
everything's
and then
like
the third guy gets reviewed.
Super cold.
Yeah. There's no fucking way. You know, so I think they've done a good job of changing that and making sure that.
I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because so much Hoops Merlot. I'm jokingly, Hoops is not a sponsor, although it could be.
They could be, man.
But I just love that scene in Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, party on.
I'm like, yeah.
Remember, it's like a convertible.
Oh, right. There's a whole strategy. There's a technique.
There's a whole strategy, chef,
of getting
in and out of here. This
I feel bad because I feel like we should have a little bit more structure.
No, dude, it's fine.
Like
people listen to this for that. You don't have to. Don't worry about it. It's not going to be the first or last one that we do. So don't you worry.
I scaled through it, even though I probably should have just
Hey, my tailoring order is ready.
What are you having tailored?
A suit. My buddy Tyler's getting married.
Ah. Well, congrats, Tyler.
Yeah. Congrats, Tyler. Hey, Providence, LA liked my story.
I haven't been to Providence in a while.
Providence is awesome. I'm telling you.
But institutional restaurant at this point, right?
Time and time again. Providence in LA, telling you every
Michael Samir?
every other cook that I met, I'm like, hey, where have you worked? I worked at Providence. And telling you, they just over and over and over again continue to churn out talents that are like.
Do you think they'll get 3 stars?
I don't, because they would have gotten it by now if they did. I feel like.
I think that they dramatically changed.
Yeah, but I don't think you need to change that restaurant.
Yeah, I don't think.
And
if they were going with the intention of like,
what's the volume there? Well, they can do a lot of covers, no?
I don't know. It's not that big.
What is the largest 3-star restaurant?
Ooh, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be like a Robichon or something.
I would guess.
But there's no way that 3 Michelin star restaurants are doing more than 100 covers.
That would be weird.
You know what I mean? I know at the restaurant I met with, they do like 90 or, close to 100, whatever it was, but never over 100. Like, that's crazy. So I feel like your numbers definitely do dictate how many stars you get. Because a place like Charter Oak, I always thought that I could get a star there. I've always looked at it as a place I could get a star.
There are some,
but then it's like fucking
the
600 covers a night. It's like, what the fuck?
The 1-star category is very odd.
Yeah.
Because it's like some of them I'm like, this could be 2. And then there's some of them like, this should be 0.
Yeah. Some should just be a bib gourmand.
But it's kind of all over.
Mm-hmm.
But good for them.
Yeah, who knows, man? They have to.
It's not my guide, man.
They have to at least have some kind of criteria that they follow, and I'm sure that sometimes when they follow the criteria, at the end of it, they get an answer that they're even like, wait a minute, what? This place has 3 stars, really? It's like, yeah, we follow the criteria. It's got 3 stars. I think that it has to be at this point, like, not a mathematical thing, but more than just opinion, because then at that point we are putting all the onus of the restaurant industry into people's opinions.
Well, we are.
Yeah, but like, who named that Michelin inspector an expert in food? Has he cooked? Has she cooked? Have they?
It remains
become a chef.
It's very mysterious.
Those bastards. If you're a Michelin inspector or have been, I want you on the show. I want to know.
I don't know if a current one is good.
We'll put a fucking black mask on you. We'll fucking put a
change your voice.
Yeah, change your voice. And I'm telling you right now, I'm down for those interviews. If there's any chef cooks out there that want to talk some truth and don't want to, show people who they are, so I'll wear a ski mask with you. We'll roll here with fucking
out of solidarity.
With sunglasses. Yeah,
it's pretty clear like who you are at this point.
Yeah, I'll have to probably cut out a whole.
I was like,
ponytail.
Isn't that you?
That's me. I'll just take it down, chef. They won't see it anymore.
And be like, who is this?
For sure.
Who is the man behind Sucio? I think
the
there
man?
have been several episodes to tell you who the man is.
90 episodes.
Almost at 100.
Almost, yeah.
Wow. What a journey that's been.
I probably broke 100. Actually, I haven't, but I'm close. I'm closer than the ones advertised because I took all the solo shows and I consolidated them into one show.
Right.
So
but as a recognized, published show.
And that's going to be, but just going to take 8 episodes to 1 episode.
Mm.
So it's going to be called All the Shout-Outs, All the Ramblings.
All the shout-outs.
Yeah, mixtape of just shit that happened to me when.
Shout out to, I went to Denver.
When I was in
Wyoming.
I went
to Minneapolis.
Oh, how was Minneapolis?
I thought it was pretty good.
What restaurants you go to out there?
I went to Demi, Spoon Stable for brunch.
Uh-huh.
I went to Owamni, which just got James Beard, this new restaurant. I went to Matt's Bar, which is the alleged creator of the Juicy Lucy burger, and unfortunately burned my mouth on it. Because I'm a noob.
Was it good other than that?
It was a tasty burger.
Yeah.
Tasty bar burger.
You know who has a really good burger is Copus. San Francisco. Have you had their burger?
I have not.
It's like a classic burger. Like the most classic burger you've ever had, and it's delicious.
Like American cheese.
They serve it in fucking yellow paper. It's...
There's something about that, right?
It's got it all.
That's what I came to realize, like, not to say you have to literally use craft singles, but the American cheese or process or whatever you want to call it is kind of really important to that flavor.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, you could have a good burger with like cheddar or whatever, blue. we're talking about like that style of burger, that nostalgic, that's a big part.
Let's go 3 restaurants in the Bay Area that you must go to tomorrow, according to Andrew Cheng.
Like that I just recommend.
Yeah, you were like, 3 recommends.
Didn't I recommend places?
Well, yeah.
Well, except for I kind of skirted the question.
Yeah.
And actually didn't answer.
That's what I'm saying. Because you're like, there's so many. You don't want to hurt any feelings.
Well, yeah, you don't want to hurt
feelings, right? Hurt some feelings out here.
I have many things going on in life. I don't necessarily want to or have time to answer every angry DM about, well, you forgot my place.
Yeah. Well, it's not about that, man. It's like, come on. I'm not the only podcast in the world. You know, I'm not like, when I say, hey, what's the best podcast out there? Nobody's going to, like, there's probably going to be 3 people that say Sucio Talk. Other than that, it's going to be like.
And bless them.
Yeah.
Thank you for this.
Thank you for the support, my number 1 fans out there.
Let's see, 3. Are we talking about Greater Bay Area? Or are we just talking about, like, literally
Greater Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland.
Like, what? Because, like.
Fucking all the way to Richmond.
Okay. But we're not going, like, Napa, Sonoma.
No. We're going.
Because, like, some definitions of areas, like, it's a little.
San Jose to Richmond.
Okay.
And Oakland.
Okay. If we're taking into account the entire experience, not literally just the food.
Yeah.
I think Great China is a good time.
Okay.
I would say one of the better wine lists around. And it's a tasty group spot.
It really is a tasty group spot. It's easy to go there with a large group.
Yeah, it's not fussy.
It's not fussy at all. It's fun. It's delicious.
But also, they do a very good job of, if you are interested, making wine that can be very intimidating. Accessible, because it's a little bit more budget friendly,
right?
And
do you think they're doing that on purpose?
Yes.
For why?
I think it's expand appreciation, make people to actually just try this stuff.
Is there another restaurant in that group?
Not that I know.
No, just that one. And who's the owner?
James Yu.
James Yu. He's a sommelier.
I don't know if he's certified,
right?
But he definitely has a wine interest for sure.
How long has Great China been open?
I don't know, because they used to have a previous location that had like a fire, and so like the current also in Berkeley.
Okay,
so I don't know the full history.
I want to have him on at some point.
The man,
because I mean, every sommelier within the Bay Area always talks about that place because they can go there and get bottles of wine that you'd normally pay fucking an arm and a leg for really cheap. Comparative to other places.
Right.
You know?
I mean, for a restaurant, it's very good.
The garlic fried rice is.
I like the cumin lamb.
The cumin lamb.
Did you get the surf clam with the rice on top of it?
No.
Oh, definitely go get that one.
Okay. Yeah. Is the surf clam raw?
No. It's good.
Yeah. We used to do a lot of surf clam dishes at Oakwood.
Yeah. Are you over the surf clam?
Huh? No, it's just a big ass clam.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do they slice it?
They do slice.
Do they? Okay, gotcha. So they pull it out, slice it, put it back in.
Yoshizumi, which I mentioned previously, San Mateo, Michelin star restaurant.
Grande Cuisine? Sushi. Okay.
And then I gotta be very picky. You know,
you're just trying not to hurt any feelings. That's okay. You don't.
Well,
have
I think if we're talking about central, I gotta throw in Zuni.
Zuni Cafe.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never been there before.
What?
No, never. Are you saying I should? I mean, you're looking at me like I should go there tomorrow.
I mean, many people consider it not only an essential restaurant for the Bay Area, but like the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Japanese Zuni.
Okay. Cool. Same chef forever?
Well, unfortunately, Judy Rogers passed.
Okay.
But the recipes,
same. Yeah. Okay. Gotta try Zuni Cafe then. Shit. If you're ever out here in San Francisco, check out Zuni Cafe. Well, Andrew, I will say, there's gonna be a lot more of these. People need to get ready.
I hope there's,
people need to get ready.
There's a lot of different topics discussed.
That's right.
maybe not the most structured conversation.
It doesn't matter, bro.
It was a natural conversation.
Yeah, it's a natural conversation, and that is the ultimate point for me of Sucio Talk.
We didn't mention. Let's say we need to go on this tangent because it's good. But Martin's potato rolls.
Oh,
speaking of like nostalgic,
delicious. You kidding me? Steamed,
but they are getting canceled right now.
Why?
Because of their extreme right-wing political affiliations.
This is all news to me. I'm not in the know of Martin's potato rolls being canceled.
Yeah.
Again, but
people are trying to like not buy them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to that thing that we were saying. Like, do you separate the artist from the body of work, the human being from the body of work?
I mean, it's a really politically charged atmosphere, and I don't think they necessarily, the people who want to boycott, want to know. I mean, of course, we unknowingly contribute money to all types of bad people.
Oh, all the time.
Just straight up.
That's what.
Sorry.
No, it's true, and that's what's kind of bullshit to me when some people come out and call out these companies. But I'm like, okay, did you buy Nikes? Like,
are you buying gasoline?
Yeah, it's
for
like
a really expensive price.
Exactly.
Are you buying gas? That's not the oil companies. Probably not great people.
If we really wanted to cancel shit, we'd have to cancel everything at some point.
But some people are single issue voters, and when you know for a fact this person is donating or this money to a campaign that's like against your lifestyle,
belief or lifestyle,
your creed, your culture, you may not willingly want to do that. Of course, unknowingly we support it.
Well, that's what that's how I view the whole Trump thing. Like, I was just like, oh well, he's a racist, so I'm not going to support him.
But people are supporting Goya beans, right?
Exactly,
because it's a similar thing.
Exactly. And that's another thing that I'm like, I tell my
not to get too up.
No, but it's true because some of my family members like talk shit about Trump, but then you have Goya products in your house.
Right.
So I'm like, what is it like?
Right. What's the separation? Yeah. How far removed?
Exactly. It's like the vegans that wear leather. It's if you're gonna fight the issue,
I mean, obviously,
fight the whole thing.
I watched WWE. You watched WWE. Not the greatest politics.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Especially Linda.
Yeah, and that's how I'm, just trying to navigate this new world. And it's like, okay, do I accept this new world? Do I need to enact in this new world? Because I feel like we have a responsibility right now as 30-something-year-olds. We're gonna be the old people pretty soon here.
I think we are
in 20 years.
Well,
right?
at least I am.
Well, right now I've found that we are the demographic. We are what everything is targeted to.
We are like the status quo.
I mean, look at the fucking NFL this past year with the halftime show. 50 Cent, Eminem.
He was
playing in the club.
He was not looking good.
But at the end of the day, I beg to differ. A lot of women that I was watching that with were like, "Whoo!" They were sweating. I can't believe it.
I know a lot of people who were dragging 50 for his weight. I mean, let the man live.
Yeah, let the man live. He's got fucking 20 shows on TV.
They were just like,
come on.
They were dragging 50 for his weight.
Dude, you can't do that. But everything's catered towards us now. You walk into any clothing store, they're playing music from our generation. The mid 2000s to like 95 to 2005. That's like the play right now, and everyone's doing it.
So you're saying that we have the potential to set the habits and patterns for
exactly. We are setting the tone right now.
Well, I'll say this.
Unbeknownst to us,
the tone is not great.
No, it's not great because we're living kind of in limbo where the kids that come before us have never known anything other than having a screen in front of their face.
I'm like,
and then the older people are like, that's what we lived under, who are like, well, you guys are extremely racist.
Climate change, very concerning.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are very concerning. But
COVID is the sub boss of this video game, and it's like, don't you worry, climate change is bad there.
That's right. I mean, look, we are definitely privileged to think that we're going to live forever, or this world is just going to continue being what it is. At some point, we'll be destroyed, and some fucking.
Well, if I don't like overeat,
on
like fucking butter.
Yeah, I just hope that in like when I'm old, they're like figured out stem cells to the point where we can come back a little bit, live another 30 years, and be like 120 before we die.
But like, what's your quality of life at that point? Like,
I mean, definitely want to have a good quality of life. I want to be like those people that 100th birthday and he's still moving around, having a good time.
Right.
I don't want to be like,
like he's 100 and he looks.
Yeah, he looks 100. He's ancient. When you're like
can't really take in information
Yeah.
well.
You're just a vegetable.
You're physically alive.
Well, there was I just read an article about the guy who was the first.
I feel like we were about to wrap up the show. It was very clear
whatever,
there was like a fine point there. There was
a dude that's medically assisted suicide.
Jesus Christ,
We're
getting into some dark.
The first guy did that shit in
we mentioned
Germany or something.
We're going to talk about child molestation. We're talking about euthanasia.
I mean, we're covering the real issues.
This is a dark episode.
Hey, whatever, bro.
Most of the time, people are just like, "Yeah, I went to culinary school at this place," and it's like, this episode, this is a dark episode where we're going into.
I'm going to give a warning because the last time I talked about some hardcore shit, somebody was like, hey, man, I went through that. That's not cool. You got to give a warning. Okay. Heard.
Like, what was it? Since we already are time out.
It was sexual assault.
But it was the fact that it was even mentioned, or was it like the way it was framed?
No, not at all.
Like it was a trigger.
It was a trigger. It wasn't framed any way. That the woman was just telling the story. And as she told the story, this listener heard it and was like super triggered.
She wasn't like prepared for that.
Yeah. And, they were like, hey, will you just like please warn us if there's going to be anything like that? Because I was severely triggered by that. And like, you just need to know that people listen to this shit. Yeah, it was very fair. It was very, the way that he wrote it to me was amazing. And people go through shit all the time. And I would hate to be that guy that's bringing up hurtful things like that. But also,
unfortunately, it will come up because it's unfortunately part of life.
I'm not going to shy away from it either because that would be wrong. And that's what we've been doing for so long is sweeping shit under the rug, not talking about it, and then that's where we're at.
Well, yeah.
Because like we were talking earlier, no chef talks shit about a restaurant they worked at that they didn't have a good experience at, that they maybe got overworked and promised things that never happened. And those CDCs, those chefs they don't want to talk about the shit, and it's time to just be honest because you're not talking shit. You're just telling your truth. And at the end of the day, I want to invite those people that feel offended to come on the show. Let's talk about this shit, and let's come through a solution. The best thing
there is a solution?
I think that there's some things that you can't come back from.
Other than like catharsis? Like, do you think there actually is?
You can't come back from certain things, I feel like. But I feel like if I can get two people in the room that have had a past conflict, then that means at least that the subject that we are talking about, you can come back from. I think there's things
you're gonna it's gonna be like that MTV show Ghosted.
Maybe.
And you're gonna come in, it's like, this is the chef of a restaurant that you said sucked. And he's here unannounced.
Yeah, right?
And
just like Maury.
And I'll be like,
bring out the chef. I actually have somebody upstairs right now, Andrew Cheng.
I would just be like, this is going to sound bad. Honestly, I do not remember your restaurant.
There you go. Andrew Cheng comes to your restaurant, forgets about it soon after.
It just didn't make an impression on me.
There's a lot of chefs out there like, fuck you, dude.
You're like,
hey, it don't matter, man.
You?
If it's not Andrew Cheng, it's going to be somebody else. So it might as well be a person that actually cares about.
It's like the CM Punk where it's like, for you, that was the greatest day of your life. For me, it was Friday.
That's like when The Rock's roasting Triple H. He's like, you think you got canceled because of your Rudy Poo friends at Madison Square Garden? You got canceled because you absolutely suck. It was like a promo before a pay-per-view. It was like a 1990.
Yeah, and to get back to the original, or one of the many original topics, some people, unfortunately, probably me included, can't handle criticism in a very mature manner. It's hard, right?
I would say that we, right now, are going into a world of scrutiny if we are already in it. So you might as well change with the times and accept that you will be questioned and
you're going to be questioned not just for your ability.
You kidding me? Tested and on every front.
You're going to be questioned, scrutinized for your associations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, with vendors, with investors, with, like, and you're going to be like, well, how was I supposed to know, like, the entire moral character of this person that I'm somewhat affiliated with?
Yeah.
Like, Martin's potato.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like,
now you can't eat fucking Martin's potato rolls.
No. Well, you can.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you can.
What did they do exactly? Again?
I don't want to summarize it in an inaccurate way, but many people are disagreeing with their political affiliations.
Right. I mean,
far right.
Whatever. You know? I just would hate to, because I know that there's some people that I know and like that are probably far right, and I don't know, am I to alienate those people because they believe a certain thing about politics?
I don't know.
Racist. They're not racist.
Well,
like, I'm not fucking talking to them.
I'm
like,
talking,
what the fuck?
I think there are gradients.
Yeah,
right, before
exactly,
you get to that point.
Exactly.
Like, obviously, there's going to be some people who are like, they're conservative leaning.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some who are like, and they're part of the insurrection.
Yeah, that's right. I gotta say, some of the best TV in the past few weeks was that January 6th fucking hearing they had, the press conference or whatever it was. Fire drama on that show. Whoever edited that, I mean, they were editing it live, but Fox News didn't cover it.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why, right? But I will say, like, that's the scary part about this world, is to know that all the news that you watch growing up is bullshit, and it was all financially based, and, you know, like, I watched Fox News a couple times when I was young. Did I know what I was watching? No, not at all. It was just on because it's the news, right?
It is important to understand where they are. And to say you have to agree.
Mm-hmm. I would say
you can't deny that these people exist.
That's all I'm saying. Watch both.
They have this viewpoint.
Don't just watch Fox News. Don't just watch this. Watch everything. Also, Breaking Points on YouTube is a great middle of the road news that they're trying to basically take the power away from the big media, and they have differing opinions sometimes, and they just talk about things very openly. There's no agenda. They just give you the news the way it is. They tell their opinions, move on. And I think that is a cool thing about YouTube and all this, like, new channels.
If you agree what factually happened, that's the problem.
Right.
It's like,
I guess
you could say, okay, this is happening, but they'd be like, that didn't happen. If you cannot even come to an understanding of what is real and what is not real, I don't know how you can actually.
There's no point having a fucking debate, then, is there, Chef? No, I get it. I for sure get it. But 220, Chef. That was my room in college, so that's what we're gonna leave this. All right.
Okay.
That's right. This time for real.
Yeah.
Sucio Talk signing off. Get yourself some.
I was like, hopefully Hoops doesn't get canceled.
Hoops is not gonna get canceled. Why would they get canceled? They're not doing shit.
I'm not saying that they will. I'm just saying hopefully they don't.
Because of the conversation that we had here today?
No, I mean, just for some, like, unrelated reason, and then, like, by coincidence, it's like,
oh yeah,
we're like,
all I'm saying is, if somebody got something to say about anything that we talked about on the show, susiotalk@gmail.com. I will talk about it openly. We can talk through it, so there's nobody out there like, I can't believe he said that. We gotta fucking do this. Fuck that. All right, it's a new world. It's an honest world. Fucking Sucio Talk podcast. Peace out. All right. Andrew Cheng, say bye to the camera. This camera.
Goodbye, camera.
Sucio Talk. Out.